Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. Join me tonight, Leon and Naota, and you know probably Liam will jump on as he usually does, in and out. Hope you guys are well. Just talking off air, guys. Where to start? A lot of fights, a lot of cards, too many really. Going up against each other as well, which we've said in the past is a bit shit because they need to spread some of these fights out. But yeah, we'll start in StubHub. Still on the bucket list, maybe next year, hopefully. Leon, amazing fight between Oscar Valdez and Miguel Marriaga.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the fight I've enjoyed most this year so far. I think the term technical war's been used to describe this, because that's exactly what it was, wasn't it? I mean, they were both willing to trade, but the skill levels were very, very high, and they can both take a shot. I think Valdez came through a serious test. I think some people underestimated this guy. I mean, I was trying to remember where I've seen him from. It said that Walters fight that's the main fight, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what most people.
And then he iced that guy from Bay Area, or up that way, didn't he? And then we come to this fight, and he seriously tested Valdez, I thought.
No, he did. I had it close. I just watched it back right before the show, and there was one round I could maybe give it to Valdez. It just made it slightly wider, but
I had it 7-5 plus a knockdown.
Yeah, I think that's about right. But I was just it's weird because overall I'm a big fan of Valdez, and he won the fight, and there's no way for me to change my card to have Marriaga winning the fight. But I came away more impressed with Marriaga, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's kind of a weird paradox.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because you're giving him a good credit because there was maybe the atmosphere surrounding this fight is that it was going to be easy for Valdez, which we didn't have a show last week, but I really couldn't, in the build-up to this fight, I couldn't really remember much about the opponent, to be honest. But, it was a damn good fight, and they both come out of a lot of credit. But he loads up a lot, that Valdez, doesn't he? But his gas tank's good because he's still throwing bombs in the last couple of rounds, isn't he?
Yeah, the way he loads up so early on, you think this is not going to continue, up until the 11th and 12th, he's going to be out of steam. His shots will have no power on him. But his tank is amazing, man. He just continued to throw bombs after bomb.
But he's good moving backwards, isn't he? Because that's what he's kind of he seems to be the kind of guy who's like luring you in, isn't he? And then once you step to him, he steps. He'll step in again. But yeah, I was very impressed.
Another thing I was really impressed with Marriaga was his pressure. It was a constant pressure. Always had Valdez working, always moving. He always had to think about where he was going to do, what he was going to do. And it was all from just little half steps forward. He would just take continual half steps forward, just making that distance perfect for him to be able to either counter or lead off with the combinations. And he had his gloves really high, tight guard, Valdez did catch him, but for the amount of shots that he did throw,
a lot of cuffing shots.
Yeah,
weren't there?
He took a lot of shots on the gloves and arms, and he didn't really take a big beating. And that 10th round, I'm just saying to Naota off air, man, that's up there candidate for fight for round of the year, because Marriaga came out someone's told him that he needs a knockout to win the fight, and he's just unloading and gets caught with that shot, and then he's under pressure. There's probably still over a minute left in the round, and then he starts coming back towards the end of the round, back at Valdez. Man, it was just a really amazing round and an amazing fight.
And then he arguably won the last. He arguably won the last and came back very strong in the 11th. It was a great performance. I think Valdez needs to be a bit more subtle with some of his shots. They're kind of big winging things that you see coming from from a distance. But
he does loop
there's places to be improved, but that's not a bad thing, is it?
No, I mean, the way he times it. Yeah. The way he times it is almost I guess you might compare it somewhat to the way that Garcia does, where it's he kind of lures you into that proper range in order to actually land those shots. Although with faster hands, so.
Sometimes that right hand was he was kind of catching the guy on the side of his head with the side of his wrist, you know. Yeah. He was but maybe that was just early on, but he was really loading up early on.
And I think he was underestimating Marriaga's closing speed, because a lot of the times he'd be in range to land that shot, and Marriaga would kind of like just, you know, take one of those half steps forward, and all of a sudden he'd be cuffing him instead of actually turning over.
Because his jab was good, wasn't it? I mean, he was very good with his jab.
That's actually something I think that Valdez should work on in particular, is setting up stuff behind a jab, because we're just winging the power shots, especially against a guy that has a tougher, stiffer jab than you, can be really problematic. And I thought he ran into it a lot more than he probably could have had he chosen his spots a little bit more wisely. I think he stood kind of in that mid to close range. He lingered there a little bit too much too often, and that's a big part of where Marriaga's best punches were landed.
He lingered there like a creep. But Naota, you know, how did you see the fight? Because I had it, like, I think I had Valdez 5-1 down halfway through, and he just came out with a good adjustment. He just got on his jab, and like he was like double, tripling, quadrupling the jab, and then everything was working off the jab, and he kind of took over a bit in the second half of the fight with just purely pushing him back with the jab and, you know, not being on the back foot as much.
Well, I mean, I think Valdez had his best success when he was trying to push Marriaga back and really kind of standing his ground against him, or otherwise when he was all the way on the outside. I think, like I was saying before, like that close to mid range was like the danger zone. Whereas, you know, when he was like right in Marriaga's face and kind of pushing him back and getting full leverage on his shots, that's where he actually managed to hurt him, even in that 10th round. And, you know, and of course, when he was all the way on the outside, he had a slight hand speed advantage, as well as just, you know, he was throwing, I think, just a bit crisper. And so he was able to kind of lure Marriaga into his shots, kind of set up traps for him. But, I mean, even still, though, regardless of that, even when he was landing big bombs on Marriaga just pretty much came back with everything that he had right away. You know, I think he's probably got one of the best chins in the sport. I mean, just based off of what we saw there. I mean, not to mention even back when he fought Nicholas Walters, which was a fight that I thought should have been scored closer than it was as well. You know, he rocked Walters multiple times in that fight, and, you know, even though Walters dropped him, I always thought Nick was closer to getting stopped than Marriaga at any point in that fight. And I think he actually improved since that fight too. I mean, as Leon mentioned, that, you know, he got the stoppage over Vince's or it wasn't Vince's, Guy Robb, and then you know, a couple other fights against, you know, higher level like contenders and such, and you know, got this title shot. And this is a title shot that I think Valdez's people didn't even want to have versus Marriaga. I think they knew that this particular style matchup was always going to be really problematic for somebody like Valdez. And, you know, I think really Marriaga is tough for anybody in the division. And I see a few people kind of criticizing Valdez's performance, but at the same time, I don't think there's really anybody at featherweight that you can compare to Marriaga. There's nobody else with that level of power, pressure, and the skill to apply both of those things all at the same time. I mean, the only guy that you could somewhat compare to him, maybe Leo Santa Cruz, but he doesn't have that same level of thudding, just force to his shots. You know, it's a lot more like attrition and volume, as well as, you know, I think a slightly better technical ability. Well, if anything, the only guy I see comparable to Marriaga would be like if he moved up to fight Berchelt or somebody. But otherwise, at featherweight, there's nobody else.
You mentioned like that, and I think like he would give like all the top guys at featherweight a hard. I think he beat Selby. I think he has a war with Leo. He probably beats Mares, and I think Frampton, I'd probably just favour Frampton on the back foot, but like in a way he's kind of fucked himself up because no one's going to want to fight him.
Yeah, he's going to be a guy that's really avoided. You know, he doesn't have a big name, quote unquote. He's dangerous. He's a bomber. You know, he could potentially take any one of those guys out with one shot. Really, I mean, you know, everything that he throws is thrown with force. So it's like if you're not on your P's and Q's at all times, and if he manages to get you with something that you don't see, it could be lights out for you.
Do you think, Cam, you think Eddie Hearn will get him for Quigg?
If he wants Quigg murdered, yeah.
But he's...
I think he's all around for somebody like Quigg. Quigg is one of those guys that relies on a lot of strength and stuff, and he wouldn't be able to do any of that with
I was saying
Marriaga.
to Cam that I think he gives Selby hell. Like, I think he beats him. I think he gives Frampton trouble. Just because he's just a big, strong dude for that weight.
And the pressure.
But also, he's not difficult. It's not like he's a pressure fighter and he's using his face for defense, is it? He got tagged a few times, but he's quite subtle when he's up close.
Yeah,
he has pretty good defense. I mean, it's not like the most amazing stuff in the world, but he kind of catches, a lot of stuff on his gloves, and he has just enough head movement and torso movement that he's able to, if not evade punches entirely, take a lot of the starch off of what you're throwing at him.
Yes, that's what I saw. Yeah.
Agreed.
But what does Valdez do now then? Where does he go?
I mean, it's kind of
tough. No one on his side, is there?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because it's like Heyman runs the featherweight division outside of that WBO title. So, I mean, it could be mandatory city for him, or, I mean, Joseph Diaz Jr. is going to be fighting on the Canelo Chavez Jr. undercard. And he's actually going into the Marriaga fight. Marriaga was ranked number 1. He was the mandatory, and Diaz was ranked number 2. So it's entirely possible that Diaz could basically be just sitting and waiting for his title shot at Valdez, potentially.
My boy Jojo, him and Valdez would be a great fight.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think in a way they kind of play to each other's strengths and weaknesses really well, making for a good fight. I think Diaz is better on the inside. I think Valdez is better on the outside, and it's really about who can manage the distance.
Yep. You guys got anything else about in this fight?
I thought Valdez did some good body work up close. I think he can handle himself in there.
Yeah, he did. I don't think he did enough, though. I think he neglected the body more, a lot more than he should have. Because I think that's probably, like, especially with a guy like Marriaga, one of those guys that has just like an iron jaw. Like, you want to go to the body in order to soften that up.
And I thought he got hurt to the body.
Under shots.
I thought he got a little hurt to the body at points.
Yeah.
He folded up a bit, didn't he, a few times?
Yeah. Well, it's like, and that's what kept him honest. A lot of the times, those body shots were like, that's kind of what jarred him back, and then it's like he had to kind of reset himself as opposed to just, coming at you like Jason Voorhees nonstop.
But just final thoughts is just what a great fight, And that was on, it's a shame it was on pay-per-view for the Yanks, but,
Yeah.
How much was it? How did that work? Did you buy it now, or did you stream it?
No, I got it. I didn't actually even pay attention to the price of it. I just hit buy, man.
You're a baller, man.
What was it on? Just online? Was it online?
No, because like there's like a button or whatever you could press like on the cable box.
Oh, right, okay.
And you just hit buy, you put in your pin or whatever.
Neo didn't even check the price, man. He's a baller, man.
Wow, man.
I think it was like $35 or something like that.
Oh, that's not too bad. I thought it was like 50 or something.
I don't think it was that high.
Yeah, it's a shame, man, because this would have been perfect on HBO, or it's a shame that they're not buying this content.
They should. Like that had HBO World Championship boxing written all over it, man. The whole card. I mean, like the other 2 fights or the other 3 fights actually on the card weren't like necessarily like exceptionally exciting, but I think the main event on its own more than makes up for that fact, because there have been plenty of cards that have been on HBO or Showtime where it was nothing but duds, or almost nothing but duds, and then one okay fight.
Why wouldn't a channel want part of this kid? He's good.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because he's not Eastern European.
Yep.
All right, undercard. Leon, you made me laugh when you messaged me and said basically the Ramirez-Bursak fight was a snooze fest, and it was Ramirez. I don't know, like in the commentary I had, we had Colonel Bob on the commentary, and he was saying,
yeah, same.
He's had the hand injury in the past, and when he was coming up, I did feel he was putting more leverage on his punches, so I don't know if he is in the back of his mind thinking, okay, I don't want to put too much weight into my punch in case my hand goes again, but
this is a career middleweight, Cam.
Yeah, and he throws a lot. There's no weight behind him, or he's not setting his feet. He's kind of thinking about moving as he's throwing it. So,
how old is he? He doesn't look like he's got his man strength yet. Do you know what I mean? He still looks a bit gangly.
I think he's quite young.
Yeah, if he's like 24, he's like 4 years away from being his proper.
Yeah, he's 25.
Complete. Yeah. Maybe that's why, but I mean, he doesn't seem like the biggest puncher. No.
He's a big bastard compared to Berto, though, man. He looked massive in the ring.
Well, he's a weight division up. He should be, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I think in a way it's a bit bad matchmaking, man, because Berserk is...
We shit all over this when it was going to be Billy Joe's fight.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a shit fight, I'm sorry.
And also...
Yeah. This was made to make sure that, to see if his hand was okay and, to get him a W, get him a comeback fight, basically.
I know he was supposed to fight... He was supposed to fight on another card and he pulled out injured, so it's been a year since that Abraham fight. That was last April, so...
But he's a bit of a spare part over there in the States on his own, isn't he? It's more of a European weight division, always has been. So getting people over there would be tough, I think.
I mean, unless he's able to cross, promotions and fight like the Durrells or somebody.
Yeah, that's about it, isn't it?
Even
really?
like eventually, like maybe like David.
That ain't gonna happen, though, is it? Or maybe.
Nah. I mean, you never know.
They're not big enough, are they? I guess probably not big enough names to make it worthwhile them crossing over.
No, I think Groves.
No, but at the same time, maybe not big enough names to be avoided that risk. Also, because I mean, if you look at Molina's got kind of tossed to the wolves with Crawford. Chavez is kind of getting tossed to the wolves with Canelo. It's like it's a calculated risk, basically. Like these guys aren't like our primary concern, but if they get the W, that's fantastic.
But maybe they just build him up and then just send him over here to fight some,
Nah, George Groves will go over there for his 100th attempt at a world title at one point.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but I don't want to show him too much because, he's been inactive and he did fucking almost win basically everything. And, you can't shit a guy for schooling, a middleweight, but still.
No, he's done nothing wrong. It's just
he basically did what he was supposed to do. Outside of, I guess, a lot of people would like him to get a knockout, but Ramirez isn't really that type of fighter. He's a lot more like of a safety first, defensive kind of boxer. Really, I mean, he's not even necessarily a boxer punch. He has a little bit of pop, but it's not anything where it's like
he's about work rate.
Waiting for the knockout.
He's got work rate. He's like a bit like, I'm not saying he's like Joe Calzaghe, but it's that outlook. Like if I'm working, you can't do anything.
Yeah. I mean, he's just kind of looking to school you, and I mean, if it looks bad, it looks bad. I'm getting the W, and that's it. Yeah,
you can't punch me in the face if I'm punching you in the face first.
Kind of, yeah. I think that but I think he does some good body work. It's just doesn't seem to have a huge amount of effect.
If anything, it's gonna take high level opponents to truly bring out like the exciting factor with Ramirez.
And to be fair to him,
so a foil.
And to be fair to him, look, he schooled Abraham, and loads of us Brits have gone over and failed miserably with Abraham. But he did what you have to do to someone like Abraham, didn't he, in his last fight, to be fair to him?
Yeah, just outworked him.
Just like, you're not winning a round.
He finally made the old man look like an old man.
Exactly. I'm going to work, and you're not going to be able to do shit. And it worked. It worked again. It's the same. He does the same thing, doesn't he? He's consistent.
That's his formula.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And there's no harm in that. There's no bad in that,
No, I agree, man. If it works, it works. Magdaleno versus Dos Santos, man. Little Magdaleno.
He's fun as fuck, isn't he?
Yeah, I was pissed that he beat my boy Denaire, man. But I'm on the wagon, man. That happens to me. If someone beats someone I like, I jump on the bandwagon. He's really effective, man.
He's Southpaw brother.
Exactly, Southpaw brother as well. But he's
that backhand
was
working, Cam, wasn't it?
The backhand, yeah. But for a guy that's small and he's in and out from distance, but he closes the distance well. He does his business and he gets out really well. And for a small guy, he gets a lot of leverage on his punch because that right hook, man, especially the one that hit Dos Santos at the top of the head and made him do the little dance. It has some power to it, but I don't know about you. I thought the stoppage was premature, man.
Yeah, the ref, I think, was pretty much already had an eye towards the stoppage based off of how Dos Santos was reeling around the ring before that. So it's like, even though that shot was like a cuffing shot towards the back of the head, I think he already had it in his head. But yeah, it wasn't a great stoppage. And incidentally, it probably kind of robbed Valdez of Magdaleno getting a great knockout. Like a highlight reel knockout over the guy.
But a ref always, if you do a little half moonwalk, the ref's always going to be wary, aren't you?
And this
there was nothing in that fight that said like, Dos Santos is going to land something and like come back in the fight. I think it was all Magdaleno at that point. And it was only a matter of seconds before he was going to knock him out.
Especially Lou Moretti as well, because he's a doctor, so he's like thinking, shit. I don't want this kid to have brain damage, so maybe he stops fights prematurely because of his daytime job and doesn't want dudes to get hurt. But yeah.
But like Neil said, he was going to get smashed up, wasn't he? It was only going one way.
It was, but from when he got up from the stoppage, like it could have carried on a bit.
Yeah, I agree.
But Magdaleno looked good and kind of called everyone out in his post fight. So let's see if any unifications or any other big fights get made, because he
basically called everybody.
Yeah, he looks like a guy that wants to fight. So sometimes people call people out because they've been told to call people out. He actually looks like he wants to like reign 122 and he wants to be there for a while. He wants multiple titles.
He was like actively trying to remember like who has the belt at the weight class. So,
exactly.
Of course, he called out Rigondeaux. He called out Ray Vargas. I think he mentioned Hugo Ruiz in there somewhere, but I think because he knows him. But Ruiz doesn't even have a belt. I know he's I think a mandatory coming up for Vargas, but I think he's willing to fight all those guys, and I think he stands a good chance against any of them. I think he has a great skill set. He's really quick on his feet, quick with his hands, pretty explosive. He has good skills, good power. I mean, he's a good all around fighter.
Good body work as well. Like he really attacked the body with the straight left.
Yeah, he sets everything up really, really excellently. It's like I had said before. I was as impressed I was with how he pretty much dismantled Donaire. I didn't even think that fight was close. I thought anybody that thought that fight was close wasn't watching the fight. They were watching Donaire.
Yeah, that wasn't a close fight. He looked like shit, Donaire, in that fight, and Villaneuva made him look like shit. So yeah. Big props. But that's about it for me for that fight. Unless you guys got anything to add.
He's definitely surging though. I'm really going to be interested in his next fight, because I think every fight with him is going to be like an exciting display of skill. He has a lot of skill, and he shows it off in an exciting manner.
Just quickly, Nate, who was doing the commentary on the version you bought, the one that you paid for the pay-per-view?
Tim Bradley. Who else was there? Wasn't Bob Papa? What was that other guy's name? It's the same guys that have been doing it on a bunch of the recent shows.
Brian Kenny.
I remember who it was. Yeah, there you go, Brian Kenny. Tim Bradley, okay. Brian Kenny, and who was the third guy? I'll bring it up because I have it on my DVR, and I'll check back with you in a second. Give me a second.
No problem. Leon, did you manage to catch the Shakur Stevenson fight? Most likely you did, I guess. Leon?
Yeah, we did. Remember, we spoke about that earlier. I got myself in trouble with chemo.
It's easy to
we won't talk about that. But yeah, I did see that fight.
What do you think?
He looked okay, didn't he? Like he's a real amateur style still, but he looked good. I mean, some people seem to be quite critical of him, but I just think it's so early on. It just feels almost like premature to even comment. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I was impressed, man. Like for him to come into a 6th rounder in his first fight. He's not exactly had like WSB experience or anything like that. He's still young, and his opponent was a tough guy to deal with, man. Really coming in with his head. Dirty tactics.
Really dodgy with the head.
But he was a guy that had never been stopped before, so I think other people expected him to just get a highlight reel knockout. I think we're fishing a little bit, and his only losses were by majority and split decision. So, I mean, this is a guy that, he's a bit of a club fighter, but, a guy that's not going in there to lose.
Yeah, but
he's looking to make his name off of Stevenson. So.
Stevenson's performance, I thought it was good, man. He was very left-handed, though. Like, he would double and triple up the backhand. He would go into the body as well. I thought he looked sharp.
Well, and there were a few times too where, like, when Brito was trying to get dirty with him, where Stevenson kind of like he would almost like cuff him with the like where the laces are of his gloves and like kind of push it into his face, like almost like saying like, I'm not gonna let you just do whatever you want, in these clinches and such. So
yeah,
I think that shows at least a little bit of professional craft to him, where he's not gonna get completely stolen by somebody.
And I think Ward's been in his ear as well, because in the fourth, when Brito was trying to sit on his chest and work away, that he would tie him up and just negate what he was doing, and Ward's taught him the hugging technique. But weird California rules about the start the sixth round, and then they take into account the points for the sixth round, because like, how the fuck do you do that? Because they haven't done anything in the sixth round, so what do you give them, like 10-10, or like that's a weird system.
Yeah, that was strange, the way that they completely stopped it. Okay, real quick, it was the people that were calling all the fights was Brian Kenny, Tim Bradley, Jesse Vargas, Bernardo Osuna, and then Cristina Plancha.
What was Vargas doing? Commentary, or was like assistant?
He was commentating a little bit, and he was also interviewing some of the fighters too.
Okay. But yeah, just going back, weird decision at the end with because the cuts had seemed to, not being an issue. His corner had dealt with him, and they just decided that, he's not fit to continue. But it was a weird one. It was almost more of like the company would prefer it to stop and let Stevenson get a stoppage in his first fight.
Stoppage. Yeah, that's what it pretty much looked at.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me.
You can see Brito like, come on, man.
Come on, motherfucker.
All pissed off and stuff.
But it's a shame though as well, because like he's in the ring getting interviewed by Christina in the version me and Leon saw, and people are booing, and initially he thought like the boos were coming at to him, but like Christina explained to him that no, it's not you, it's the fact that the fight got stopped. And for a young dude in that, it's
because like the boos started when the doctor started like coming in the ring and saying like, oh no, he can't continue and all that shit.
Yeah, but for a first performance, 6th rounder, his pace was good throughout the fight, man. I think it was a good performance.
Don't you think they left him out there to, like his team left him out there to, out to dry a bit in that interview? Like, where was the promoter? Like, where was his team around him, making sure?
Yeah, Ward didn't get in there.
He looked vulnerable, didn't he, in that interview?
He did. And the thing is, I think there's a lot of pressure on him too, because of the fact that he's Ward's only fighter at the moment, in terms of management, and then a lot of the hype from the Olympics, and the whole thing was like Floyd was looking to sign him and all that stuff before, and so I mean there's a lot of pressure on him. I think they should probably take it a little bit slower than they've been speaking about with him, because there have been like people talking about him fighting Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko and all that shit. If they do anything close to that, if they do anything approaching fighters like that, of that caliber, even at his own weight class or featherweight or whatever, they're going to Fernando Vargas him. So I think they need to kind of pump the brakes a little bit and, be somewhat cautious with him, because I do still see some things with him where I think he could, be a little bit fragile in there, especially in the mental sense. I mean, just going based off of like not only this fight so much, but the gold medal match that he had with Roberto Ramirez back in the Olympics, where it's like he kind of looked like a fish out of water in that finals,
he just doesn't have there's nowhere near enough power to keep any top fighter off him at the moment, is there? They would just feast on him.
The power can be an issue, sure, but there's ways to make up for that. But I think what I'm saying though
is too inexperienced.
He needs the experience in order to be able to figure out how to make up for that, especially against a guy that's gonna basically say like your power is garbage.
Exactly.
I don't give a shit how many times you hit me, and
but you can put if you got a monster puncher, you're more likely to put them in there early, aren't you? Someone like him, he's got to learn his trade and learn his way through fights. Yeah. But if you've got an absolute beast puncher, then you're going to push him quicker.
Because the thing about it is he doesn't necessarily seem like he has any truly amazing physical trait, like in the physicality sense. Like he's not super fast, he's not slow or anything, but he doesn't have like this blazing, blitzing hand speed. He doesn't look especially strong, like where like he could like bully guys, and he doesn't have like huge power. So I mean, it's kind of like a little bit of an all around like jack of all trades, master of none.
And we just
deal with him, but
and you don't know how he's gonna develop, do you? He might suddenly
that's true. He's only 19,
bulk up and be like, oh Jesus, this guy's a monster. Yeah.
He's only 19, so like that, like I'm saying, even too, like to my point was, in the next couple of years, he may develop a little bit better, gain some of that match strength, gain a little bit more power, and the skill set along with it. And I think it'll all culminate probably a lot better for him.
He's only 19, but his mind is old. That's it.
Exactly. We don't have to see. You don't have to see him in a real big fight for two years. Really,
yeah. I think Bob's going to take it nice and slow, man. Like he won't be in
because he's a star in the making. Isn't he, I
like
guess?
Bob won't risk it. Like he'll probably fight someone decent like at the 20th fight.
And that's probably the right way to do it, though.
Yeah, I think so.
But Leon,
top rank tend to be really the masters of that too. So I wouldn't doubt that their ability to pull something like that off.
They're the best matchmakers, I think.
Yeah, for sure. They're the best in building their guys insofar as what they know, what kind of talent they have, and they know how to properly match them on their way up, and exactly when to pull the trigger on a title shot and all that stuff.
Leon, I don't know if you caught the people in the studio, Steedman and Barry Jones, and they were kind of talking about this, where they see Shakur Stevenson's being taken a bit slower and Conlan maybe a bit fast-tracked because of his, more amateur experience, WSB experience, and it kind of leads to what you and Naota said. Is that I think that's the path it will go. He'll be fast-tracked. They'll take it nice and slow with Stevenson.
But Conlan looks like a kind of more sturdy guy as well, doesn't he? And is he a couple of years older, maybe?
Yeah, Conlan's what, like 22, I want to say.
No, I think Conlan's
but he looks like he's built.
How old is he, Cam?
I think he's like mid-20s, but I'm checking now.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like he looked like a
25. He's 25. So.
He looked like a boy though, didn't he? Let's be honest. He looked like a boy in the ring.
He did.
Not a boy, but look, he looks like a young guy.
Yeah, like when you look at him, I think it's just his features though. He looks really young, so you just assume that he's like not that good. But I thought he performed really good.
No. It's not about skills. It's about presence. That's all I'm talking about.
Well, and like mentality, because the thing is, you could have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have that idea in your head, like I'm the best, I'm the baddest, I know exactly what I can do when I can do it.
This is not it's not criticism. It's just about timing. That's all.
Yeah.
I just think, like you said, just build him slowly.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on quickly. Naota, do you want to mention the link of the fight that was on the Top Rank TV stream? I can't even pronounce his name. Fazladin Gazibanairov.
Fazladin Gabnazarov. Yeah. He's the Uzbeki gold medal winner from the Olympics last year. We covered all of his fights. You, me, and Leon. He won the gold medal match against Lorenzo Sotomayor back in that finals.
How do you remember all this, man?
I remember him.
I don't remember the guy, but I don't remember who he faced.
Yeah. Well, I remember Sotomayor in particular, especially because of the fact that he was a Cuban amateur that wound up defecting to Azerbaijan. So it's like he had a dude that was representing like a Middle Eastern country from Cuba and stuff.
Was that really tall guy? Was he really tall?
Was he a bit of a dick? Did you think he was really good? Was it that one? There was one Cuban who was really flashy.
No. It wasn't that dude. No. But Sotomayor, he was our favorite going into that finals, and Gabnazarov managed to just, I wouldn't say school him or put it on him, but he definitely won that fight, and I was really impressed with how he managed to do that, especially because I thought he had a little bit more struggle going into those fights. I remember he fought Gary Russell Jr.'s brother in in that too. And actually, Gary Russell Jr.'s brother is going to be making his pro debut on the Gary Russell's card, incidentally too. So that'll be cool. But Gabnazarov, he was fighting the fighter from Puerto Rico, Victor Vasquez. Vasquez wound up actually getting credited for a knockdown in the first 5 seconds. Cam, was it like 5 or 10 seconds into the fight? He just kind of caught him by the right hand, but their legs were kind of tripped up as well.
Yeah.
So it probably could have been called a slip, but I mean, it's kind of a judgment call either way.
Yeah.
But Gabnazarov, right after that, Victor Vasquez had the idea I knocked this guy down, I'm gonna knock him out. So he came forward throwing punches and bunches like nobody's business, full power and everything. And Gabnazarov did a good job of pretty much fighting him back off, and loading up on that left hand especially in order to try to keep Vasquez honest. And then finally, in the second round, he managed to drop him and finish him on his feet, and he pulled through and did a good job. He's 25, so he's a little bit probably further along. Had a fairly good amateur background, obviously with the gold medal in the Olympics, and he may be the guy to kind of carry the Uzbeki flag in the pro ranks, because that's a country that tends to be a lot more amateur focused, AIBA focused, as opposed to individually in the pro game. So it'll be interesting to see how his career progresses, and it's kind of funky too because of the fact that he's actually a better example of what I've talked about in the past with regards to a lot of amateur fighters when they turn pro. Because it seems like a lot of these guys, they'll wind up moving up in weight when they turn pro, but in the amateurs, you weigh in same day, a few hours before the fight, whereas in the pros you get 24 to 30 hours to rehydrate and everything. And it seems like a lot of these guys wind up moving up in weight from the amateurs to the pros, which seems really backwards. Whereas Gabnazarov, fought at 141 in the AMs. This fight, I think, was at like a 137, 138 catchweight, and it's likely that he'll probably be campaigning at lightweight in the near future. And I'd imagine it probably won't be more than a couple of years before they get him ready for some sort of title shot, because I think technically speaking, he's pretty far along.
Yeah, I think he needs to get down to lightweight, because he's only box record we have him at 5'6", and he looked quite small against his opponent Vasquez. So
yeah, and he's not like a supremely stocky 5'6" either. He looks like a lightweight or a super featherweight build.
Yep. Okay, you guys got anything else regarding this StubHub card?
No.
All right.
What are we going to do next? Next Yank card.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll stay in the States, go over to the Barclays, and I don't know. I actually watched this today, the fight between Porter and Berto. It's a very disappointing fight, and I saw this GIF on Twitter this morning, and I tried to find it again so I could retweet it because I didn't do it at the time, but it was basically a ram headbutting a boxing bag, and said that was...
Yeah, that was good. That one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
training camp.
Porter's training camp, and I don't know, man. To me, that's not boxing, man. That's mauling and grappling, and it's horrible to watch.
Honestly, I kind of disagree.
You beat the shit out of him,
because the thing is, I think that if Porter was as dirty as a lot of people are kind of, I think, overreacting to with regarding this fight, there would have been a lot more headbutts in all of his other fights, which there weren't. I think a lot of this is due to the style matchup and the fact that Berto really doesn't have very good defense. And a lot of his defense is relied off of bending at his waist and leaving his face completely exposed. Because I've seen multiple fights where Berto would pretty much do that and eat clean, flush shots, or at the very least, not even just the shots, but the follow-up, like possibly elbows and forearms and stuff from Guerrero or Ortiz or Carras, or going back to a lot of his opponents, a lot of the guys that he fought, Collazo even, and I just think it was the way that they kind of matched up, and I think it was a lot more incidental than intentional from Porter, and I think his apologies and all that stuff was really more him feeling like, oh shit, I'm gonna get blamed for this, so I better try and save face.
And the other question is, what did the use of a head, what did it stop Berto from doing that Berto was meant to be doing, that it was so effective? Do you know what I mean? What was the actual effect of it? Berto wasn't he was doing a load of stuff. And Porter was desperate.
I thought Berto had a great chance to catch Porter in the first couple of rounds, because, not even just with the uppercut, but with a straight right hand, because Porter was lingering at that mid range, which is like the danger zone for him. You could catch him with a lot of stuff because of the way he's kind of just jittery, bouncing, almost like reminds you of like Floyd Mayweather Sr. imitating Shane Mosley years ago, where he's like, "Oh, he's gonna be all jittery." Like Floyd's right there, man. Just hit him. That's what Porter does a lot of. And like I think Berto, like he missed a lot of opportunity in order to just shoot shots right up the middle in those early rounds and catch them, because that's Berto's range, really. Once Porter kind of figured everything out, he mugged him. He kind of pushed him back, manhandled him. Kind of football playered him. But at the same time, I mean, a lot of people they're trying to give a lot of credit to the Porter's head and everything, but I saw him rocking the shit out of Berto's jaw and his body, especially with his fists. I thought he did fantastic body work, and I was like, if we would have had a show last week, I was gonna call Porter to do to Berto what he did to Malignaggi, and I thought that in certain aspects that he kind of did, and he just kind of got robbed of the highlight real stoppage.
While Malignaggi was commentating, do you think he was having flashbacks?
Yeah, I thought so, and I think Malignaggi was throwing a little bit of salt in the game as well. I think because of that, you'll
that's
see, like,
not like Malignaggi, is it?
It's mentally, guys. It's mentally very taxing because he's using his arms and he's using like get the hell out of here. He's definitely still better. I mean, I don't necessarily blame him. Any fighter probably would be. When they face a point. I remember Lennox Lewis being all excited when Oleg Maskayev knocked out Asim Rahman. He was like, "It is over." It was pretty funny, but it's part of the game. So
I agree about like some of the body work was really effective from Porter when he was in the inside, but I feel that Porter gets a pass sometimes because he's a nice guy. It's like if Broner was doing those tactics, mauling and fucking headbutts, like people would be outraged, but because it's like this nice guy, he kind of gets away with it.
Well, I don't really think that he's really like a headbutter like a lot of people try to act. I think if anything, maybe he's a bit loose with his head movement and such. And he's not particularly about it. I wouldn't put him on the level of an Orlando Salido, put it that way. And I don't even think Salido's as dirty as people like to act. At least, particularly with Lomachenko. But that's a
sorry, Leon, I'm going to jump in front of you, Leon. But not even with the headbutts though. The elbow, the forearms, the way he'll kind of push off his face and then try and like create space for shots.
Here's the thing with the forearms though. The forearms is an effort to keep Berto from clinching him. Clinching is a foul too. So if you're fighting a clinch with a forearm and pushing the guy up off of you, to me that's foul for foul. So you could warn him for that, but you also have to warn the guy for just kind of trying to bear hug you as well.
Sorry, Leon, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say it's also, I think it comes down to Porter's inability to judge distance and to some poor technique. That he gets so close. He's trying to throw punches, and it just gets really messy and ugly. And he's trying to get away to try and do his work, and it's just poor technique. He gets too close.
Yeah, he definitely did. I thought there was a number of moments, especially in those later rounds, where like he could have like just taken like a short step back and then landed a big overhand right, and Berto would have been done. But I think MVT always used to say he was smothering his own work quite a bit.
That's what I mean, and you're right, that's what happens. So Berto tries to grab him and he's pushing him away. It's just messy. It's just ugly.
Yeah. And I think it kind of culminated to the styles matching up in an ugly fashion. Because, Porter basically did the same thing against Thurman, but Thurman knows a lot more properly how to fight that back. And not even necessarily with just clinching, but like fight it back in terms of technique. And he was obviously able to get the win because of that.
I'm just not. This outcome of his fight is exactly how I think most of us would have previewed it.
I was going to say
no one. Look, it's easy for us to say now, but I've never picked Berto in anything because I don't trust him at all. His resume. If you go through his resume, there ain't no great wins on that. That's no great shakes. That resume.
If anything, like I'd say the best win on it would probably be Josecito Lopez. And that's just simply because I rate Lopez a lot higher than most people do.
I was going to say Collazo was his best win.
Yeah, but the thing is, you could even argue that he didn't even deserve to win that one too.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I mean, I thought Berto won that fight, but a lot of
Berto
people didn't.
He ain't shit to me. Like I've never rated him. I've never thought of him as like a world level guy. Like I know how like
Well, I remember years ago they were gonna have he was gonna fight Zab Judah and Shane Mosley, and most people were picking Zab and Shane in those fights.
But you know, like how we'll say we've got a domestic fight over here when we're talking with. I see Berto as like a domestic Yank fighter. You know, like he has fights over there with other Americans, but they're not for world. Like they shouldn't be for world belts. Like it's not world level stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's a little bit. I mean, and the thing is, you know, there's a lot of people that like to act like Berto has like this amazing speed and strength and like and athleticism and stuff, but you know, in terms of him being bullied as much as he has been, and in terms of outside of the fact that he can throw single shots very quickly, I really don't see it that much. And his stamina is awful. His stamina is really, really bad. And I think that's what kind of bit him in the ass in a lot of these fights that he's had. It bit him in the ass, obviously, against Porter. Against Mayweather, you know, he really couldn't do very much with him. You know, he was pretty much slowly plodding forward and had no idea pretty much how to close much of anything, and was throwing single shots at a time, which is exactly what Floyd wants you to do. You know, probably why he picked him as an opponent. You know, against Robert Guerrero, he was fighting a lightweight, like a natural lightweight, and he got roughed up by him. So, I mean, obviously, that's Porter probably just watched the Guerrero fight and thought, I'll just do that to him. You know, and he did it exactly as such. And then, you know, Jesus Soto Carras, who most people don't really even rate, and Carras knocked his ass out.
Come on, bro, man. He had a shoulder injury and he went through it. So, come on, give me some props.
I think that's such a lame excuse. Because honestly, I thought he stylistically, he fought that fight a lot smarter than he did against Guerrero.
All right. The only bad thing about Porter winning this fight is we got to see him and Thurman in again. And even though I think the first fight was really good, there's so many other fights to be made, so it's almost a waste of a fight for me. Especially like both guys are inactive. Like, was this Porter's first fight since that Thurman fight? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So, and you know, Thurman only fights once a year because the Prius doesn't need that much juice because it runs on electricity. So.
Yeah, he's got the plug-in.
Yeah, so probably summer next year you get this rematch.
Well, and the thing is, Thurman has Lamont Peterson looming as a mandatory as well. So I'd imagine that might be the next.
I'd rather see that
docket.
I'd rather see that fight.
Well, I mean, it's a new matchup at least.
Yeah,
it's a new
exactly.
matchup. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing in the interim Porter versus maybe Garcia, or if he could get the winner of Brook versus Spence, I think would really be compelling because, you know, new matchups, you know, I think that we should get them.
Yeah, I prefer fresh fights rather than just go.
And especially because if Porter was like Brook and Spence, whoever wins that fight, if Porter was to beat either of them, he absolutely deserves a rematch against Thurman if Thurman beats Peterson. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, to me, like I've always said in the past, where if you want a rematch against somebody that defeated you, you need to clear out every other potential opponent and corner the market on that guy. And then basically, like, he has a enforced mandate to fight you. Like, and if he doesn't, then people are going to give him absolute hell for the rest of his life. And I think that's the path that Porter should try to carve.
Yep. All right. And undercard wise, Jamal Charlo versus Charles Hatley. Really impressive KO and good performance from Charlo. I just think like Hatley wasn't that good, really, was he?
No,
yeah,
Hatley was shit.
You know, middling fringe contender mandatory basically is about as much as you could say about the guy.
Charlo looked good, but that's what he should be doing.
I mean, he looked okay. Honestly, I thought he looked a bit vulnerable because he showed that he still can't cut off the ring. You know, he showed against John Jackson, and it showed even worse, I think, probably against Hatley because Hatley's not that good at all. He doesn't have the skills of Jackson. And like Charlo did, like almost like what Canelo did versus Lara, where he's like, "Come on, like come over here, so I can knock you out," you know, like because he didn't know how to cut off the ring, basically. And it's not like Hatley was throwing any return fire, so it should have been fairly simple for him to just kind of walk forward, even if he was following him around to, you know, even landing shots not completely flush and well leveraged. He probably could have still knocked Hatley out, but eventually, you know, he was able to catch up to him and get rid of him.
And fully ice him.
I think he could have iced him 2 or 3 rounds earlier had he fought a bit more effectively, or even just maybe tried a bit harder to cut the distance.
I don't know.
These Charlo boys are starting to punch, aren't they, a bit?
Yeah, Paulie made a point about the technique, and his technique for the right hand was really good. Like, you see a lot of guys throw the right hand, even with the jabs, like, the elbow's kind of out, so they lose a bit of power on it. But this came right from his hand came right from his chin and just fully extended out, and he did it sorry?
Go ahead, sorry.
No, he did it on the shot in the third round when he dropped him, when it kind of caught him on the top of the head, and especially in the one that iced him as well, man. It's kind of a brutal knockout up there for
the whole scenario of that knockout reminded me a lot of Mikey Garcia and the Jean Slotichny.
Exactly, because he kind of rotated and didn't see it coming.
He was at a jacked up angle, and then boom, the kill shot comes, and he's done. His head hit the camera, and it was over.
Yeah, I was kind of worried for him, man, because I thought, ooh, that was a vicious knockout. But impressive for Jamel, and maybe he is starting to put more power into the shots, because they're saying that's what he's been working on in his training camp. But Dan, let me bring you in.
Working on.
How would you rate his backhand?
That roid rage getting to those brothers as well, isn't it?
Dan, the backhand was on point.
Dude, he's Jamel is and Jamal, obviously, like, they're fucking identical, but they're pretty good, man.
Is there irony in that comment? Oh.
No, I'm kidding. You remember like one of the first shows we ever did? I think it was when Jamel was fighting King Gabe Rosado, and I was just kind of touting Jamel as like a beast. And to tell you the truth, like I don't think he's at the point, or like he's gotten as good as I actually initially expected him. What my initial expectations were of him. So, like, I actually think like kind of like now to mention, like, when he fought Jackson, I thought he looked like shit against Jackson. He was losing that fight against Jackson until he knocked him out.
I didn't think he won a round before that.
So for people to kind of think of Jamel as this sort of beast, well, like, yeah, this guy's been hyped for quite some time, and he's actually been kind of a disappointment, if you ask me.
No, I'm not saying he's all of a sudden a beast. I'm just because I don't think Hatley was that good. I just thought, like, he cleaned up a few things, and his technique.
I think a lot of people are, though, Cam. To be fair,
I think crazy though.
Was more towards that.
I'm saying he's roiding off his tits.
No, I'm trying to think, like, who did he win his belt from?
Jackson.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he did. It was a vacant. It was a vacant WBC.
So is Jackson his best win to date?
Him or maybe
King Gabe. Don't forget Gabe.
Yeah, but did Gabe
have Vannes Martirosyan maybe?
Did Gabe have...
Now that you mention it, I think Jamal not only has the better wins, but I think has been more impressive overall, to be honest with you.
I mean, it wouldn't, honestly, I know this is like an overly simplistic way to judge a fighter, but I wasn't too surprised, or I wouldn't be too surprised of Jermel's power, just by the fact that he's Jermel's twin, obviously. So you would think, genetically speaking, that he probably has, some of the similar traits that Jermel has. So, and you just look at him, man, like, you think of the perfect kind of frame for a boxer, and both of those guys have it. It's insane how big they are for that weight class.
Similar traces of drugs in the system.
Maybe they did the switcheroo and it was Jamal fighting that day. Who knows?
No,
maybe.
Who's gonna, like, who would be able to really detect that, right?
I think you can tell them apart. I think Jamal has a bigger skull than Jamel.
Who has worse dress sense?
They're both pretty fly, if you ask me.
Fly? No, I don't think they're fly.
They're just
I don't know about all that.
Geezers, man. That's how you pull girls in the year 2017, man.
Listening to mumble rap.
Anyways, dude, fuck Porter, man. I hate watching that. I hate the fact that, like, he's such a nice guy, and I don't doubt that Porter is a nice guy, but he fights like the dirtiest. He fights like Adrian Broner, but not the persona of Sean Porter, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, he fights like the outside the ring version of Broner.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Like, what Sean Porter does in the ring is what AB did like this past weekend, getting shot up in that car and talking all that bullshit stuff. That's Porter.
They tried to kill me, but I'm still here. Hey,
I got 2 guns.
Porter,
I ain't killed nobody in a while.
Nah, but he's changed now. He's a changed man. He's different now.
Yeah, he changed after one day, right?
Yep.
And Broner's the biggest scumbag in the world, man. Fuck that guy. But anyways, yeah, I mean, did you guys first start off with the Valdez card?
We did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, cool. All right, I don't have much to say about that card. It was just all a bunch of... That's like the most questionable, like, just head-scratching card, like, for me, of this year.
Did you see the Valdez fight, though?
I did, yeah.
What did you think?
I don't know, man. I've always thought Oscar was good, but I'm just not a fan of his style. I don't think Oscar is that fluid of a fighter. I don't like it when he tilts his head forward and does that peekaboo shit. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, Cam?
Yeah, it worked against him in this fight against Marriaga because Marriaga was still throwing in those lows.
Like that's real amateur shit. That's stuff that you do when you're like 14, 15 years old and you don't have any technique. I don't know why he does that all the time, and I don't know, man. The way that he fights, he's just like it's 100% or it's nothing at all. The way that he loads up on shots, like he doesn't really throw while somebody else is throwing. He doesn't throw in rhythm. Like when he's counterpunching and stuff, I don't know. I just think he's kind of crude. I think he's good, obviously, and he could probably beat anyone at that weight class, just because that 126 seems to be wide open. But I don't know, man. I'm really not that big of a fan of his style, to tell you the truth. And this is somebody that I was really high on a couple of years ago. So.
I think a lot could potentially tell Lim. I was mentioning it earlier. If he was to fight Jojo Diaz in the near future, because all of those traits that I think he was talking about with regards to fluidity and a lot more of that kind of technical minutia craft is something that Diaz has. So if he's able to defeat somebody like him, I think would probably tell a lot more in terms of if he's learned anything from the Marriaga fight, as well as where his ceiling might lie in terms of skill set. Because I think with Marriaga, as technical as it was still somewhat a bit brutal, just because of Marriaga's style. Is a pretty brutal one, where it's like he'll get hit and he'll just keep coming at you with full force, like almost like a margarita, like a mini margarita or something. So, I'm not sure what you think about that.
Lim, were you impressed with Marriaga, or are you more unimpressed with Valdez?
No, Marriaga was definitely better than I thought. I think by far he was best. He was Oscar's best opponent to date, by far. He's a good fighter. Marriaga is a very, very good fighter, very tough challenger. It's just that my expectations of Oscar was really, really high, So, I mean, it was a good fight for Oscar, obviously, having to fight somebody as tough as Marriaga, somebody as big as Marriaga for that weight class. But, it's just, it's one of those things where Oscar's just a really fucked up situation, at 126 and as a top ranked fighter, he really doesn't have many options because everybody else is pretty much fighters that top rank wouldn't be able to work with, whether it be a Golden Boy or a Heyman or fucking, I don't know who Selby. Selby's with Heyman too, right? So
yeah,
it's a weird kind of like situation that he's in. So
if anything, I think a Golden Boy top rank crossover for him and Diaz would be more likely than Valdez versus any of the Heyman fighters.
Now, Leon, I think Josh Warrington's in for a shot now.
Oh yeah, he's every chance.
Yeah, but Cam, me and you were just talking about that yesterday. Josh Warrington has a really tough task on his hands. He can't look past Kiko Martinez.
Yeah,
Kiko's given so many other guys trouble in the past for Josh to. And Josh has a really tough test on his hands. I'm high on Warrington. Like I told you yesterday, Cam, I followed Warrington's career pretty closely, and I know power isn't ideal, but I still think Warrington is a classy operator, and depending on how he does against Kiko, I think it's going to say a lot about kind of like where he stands at that weight division. So I know Warrington has a lot of, a lot to worry about in the next fight, but I really do think Warrington could be the class of that weight division if he's as good as I originally thought him to be.
That's a great breakdown and analysis, Daniel.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I'm pretty high on Warrington myself.
Well, I mean, Warrington's not actually even ranked in the WBO, so that fight would be doubtful. If anything, he may get a shot at somebody like Gary Russell because he's in the WBC ratings. Or IBF, Lee Selby.
Fuck Gary Russell, man. The guy's done nothing. He's done nothing. All right, Dan, did you?
Well, if he beats Escondon coming up, that'll definitely be something because I rate Escondon.
That fight took about 6 years to happen.
That's true.
The only reason why I
don't think Russell people wanted it, to be honest with you.
I only rate Gary Russell highly only in spurts when I have to defend my boy Lomachenko. I'll say that Gary Russell's like
You pick your spots to rate Gary Russell.
Exactly, but whatever.
Technically.
Anything else at the StubHub that you want to talk about, Dan? The Magdaleno fight or Shakur Stevenson?
Dude, Shakur Stevenson is the goofiest fucking boxer I've ever seen in my life. I didn't watch a single round of that fight or a single second of that fight. He's just a goofy ass looking motherfucker. Yeah, I'm not going to watch a Shakur Stevenson fight until he fights for the title.
Shit, that might be a long time away then.
Yeah, I heard he looked pretty average, right?
I thought he looked good, but yeah, people are divided.
Okay.
I thought he looked okay, but he looks like a fighter that definitely needs a few years of development.
Gotcha. I mean, he is young, right? He's, 19?
Yeah.
So he's definitely got time to mature and improve and whatnot, but I don't know. Do you guys think it would be a good fight if he fought Jamie or if he fight Michael Conlan next?
No, it's too early yet, I think. Bob wouldn't do that yet.
I know. I'm just looking around. Can you imagine if he put them together?
I'd imagine that's the type of fight that Bob would like to make like far into the future.
5 years later.
Yeah.
Or once Shakur gets braces, right?
He does do that weird kind of creepo smile when he's in the ring. He does like a smile, like, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anything else, Dan?
Nah, that's it, man. I saw the Charlo fight. No, I just saw the knockout, actually. I lied. And then I saw a little bit.
You casual.
Fuck Berto, man. Berto's such a bum, dude. I'm so sick and tired of Berto. Jesus Christ, man. I'm just fucking Berto. Just go away, man. You lost to Robert Guerrero. Crying out loud.
Did you guys did you see Virgil Hunter doing some commentary in the corner? Some advice in the corner. It was, I think, like 5th or 6th round, and he was saying, "Look at the corner, look her over there. They're anxious. It's because you're doing better now." It's like, what the fuck? Is he a proper weirdo, Virgil?
He is a weirdo. I think the thing about him is like his weirdness has served him well. Virgil Hunter is so weird that people perceive his weirdness to be like intelligence or wisdom. That's how he's been able to acquire so much talent at the gym, because people are like, this guy is so fucking weird. He must be either crazy or brilliant, and they just think that he's brilliant. But I think he's...
people think he's the Rain Man or something.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I think he's wrong in a beautiful mind, but I beg to differ.
Yep. All right. Leon, shall we just... I doubt Neota and Dan watched the Box Nation card. Neota might have caught a few fights. I know you were interested in the Villaneuva and Tete fight, but should we just get into this BT card quickly, Leon?
Yeah, let's do it.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the caveman up top.
Start at the top, man. I think the fight played out with Cursidis and Langford the way most people perceived it to be. The fact that the ring was so small.
So small, wasn't it?
It's crazy, man.
I was shocked by that.
Give your man a chance, man. At least.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I think Langford did what he could for those rounds. He kept Cursidis off him, but then everyone saw.
But did you ever feel like he was ever in control of anything that was going on in that ring?
Nah, he was like
it looked like he was kind of just biding his time enough to keep him off of him, like in the horror movie where you're running away and the guy's just kind of slowly walking at you, but they're eventually going to catch up, and you know that they're going to catch up. That's what it looked like. It was like just the impending doom, like almost like Indiana Jones, where like the walls closing in on you, it's about to crush you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's pretty much what Curtsids was.
But he's a little maniac, isn't he?
He is.
But For people who remember the He-Man cartoon, he looked just like Ram Man, just like him, like that. The way he's shaped.
Go to Leon's
he's shaped
Twitter.
like a gravestone man.
Go to Leon's Twitter if you've not seen that, and then you'll see an identical picture, basically, of Courtesy this. But I don't know. I know there's beef afterwards in the press conference with Billy Joe, and Billy Joe was kind of shitting on him at ringside, saying he looks like a pumped-up Danny DeVito. And I actually think, like, Billy Joe would probably like just school him on the back foot, because it's very hard to catch Billy Joe clean. But
I think it's kind of hard to say, though, based off of Billy Joe's last fight.
Yeah,
but he's such a weird. He's such a weird little fighter. How do you prepare for that?
You just
it's a pretty unique style.
Like flyweights. You know what I mean?
Get Roman Gonzalez and spar.
Flyweights holding a hammer.
So he's a weird shape, and then he fights
Tyson
weird.
Marquez or somebody.
He does some weird. He does some weird stuff in the ring, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. No, I mean he does actually kind of a lot of like the old school like Tyson Dempsey, Marciano shit, where it's like he's going side to side and he's just springing up with all those shots. But it's like the movement is really good too, because it's almost like he knows that he's short, so he makes himself an even smaller target with all the movement that he does. And then, but he when he springs up with those punches, I mean he's pulling full power into all of them. He gets a little bit wild at times, which I think Billy Joe could capitalize on. But at the same time, if he picks his spots a little bit better, I think he's an extremely dangerous opponent for Saunders. Especially, like I said, based off of the Akerville fight, where like he was lucky to get out of there with that decision.
Oh yeah, for sure. But he is wild. But he's that punch he knocked him out with. He was looking for that all night, wasn't he? He's not completely uneducated, is it?
It was a nice shot as well. That just he kind of just
right on the chin.
He leaned to his left.
The thing is, I think he kind of figured out like I don't want to say completely figured out the timing or the distance, but it's like he knew kind of what he was trying to do in there, and it's like he was just waiting for that moment when Langford slowed down just enough for those shots to connect.
But let's be honest, Langford he's not like got quick hands. He's got horrible shape. He's a sloppy puncher, isn't he? I mean, he was well out of his depth.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, too, he is a little bit taller and has a longer reach than Saunders, also. So, in spite of the fact that Saunders is more skilled than him, Curtsies doesn't have to navigate as much distance versus Saunders, I don't think.
Well, the fucking state of him at fucking ringside.
He's a bit chubby, isn't it?
And squeezed himself into that fucking t-shirt, hasn't he?
Yeah, and
he looked like a fucking sausage.
Leon, I can't see that fight.
It reminded me of Keith Thurman when Garcia fought. What was it, that Vargas guy? And he came in that suit, and he was just looking like too fat for the suit. Like he got it tailored when he was about 10 or 15 pounds lighter.
We're badly out of shape.
Yeah. Do you think that July date that they've kind of penciled in with the pencil because they can use the eraser on it? I think they will use the eraser because I think he needs more time, man.
What's that, about 8 weeks away?
It's a bit more than that, but I think Billy Joe needs a bit more time because he looked a bit chubby. He's not worked with Booth for a fight yet, has he? He joined Booth.
So he's got to make 11 stone 8, isn't it? Around then, around that weight. What was he in there, Cam? 14.
Yeah, 13 and a half, 14, something maybe.
Yeah.
But I do think...
a lot of weight.
What the hell is that?
Oh, the weight, sorry.
You guys and your damn stones.
Yeah.
I know it's 14
Let's
pounds
say
each stone.
he's meant to be make 160, but he's looking like he's 180, 185.
That sounds
about right. More than that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Undercard-wise, your namesake, Leon, he was in Leicester. He's a hometown Leicester boy. Woodstock. Fun fight for 3 rounds.
He looks half decent, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know what level he'll go to because it's very early on, but he put his punches together nicely.
Yeah, he's young. I think he's only 23, but one thing I liked, he kind of adjusted. Like that first round, his opponent Hull, he was kind of like firing in punches. in bunches, and I think was it Holt a southpaw as well? I think he was, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and he was kind of doing like the left hand right hook, and it was working well for him. And Leon's problem, which he said in the commentary as well, he was kind of kept going into the corners and just like laying in the corner. At least if you lay on the ropes, you've got two directions to escape. When you're in the corner, it limits it. And he wasn't really spinning him either. But he adjusted when he came out in the second, and yeah, fun little fight. And again, in the commentary, they're saying like those area fights do make really good fights, and they do. It's like two competitive guys that, you know, they got the pride on stake, and even though it's a kind of trinket belt, it still means a lot to them, and it brings out really fun fights.
But it's not like a trinket like those silly little intercontinental belts. These are belts, just established belts with history, you know, that are there to, that are stages rather than just a silly world belt, you know.
Yeah, it's kind
of
like
ladders, you know where you are.
Your level.
Exactly.
There's a certain level of progression to them.
Exactly, and they mean something to these people, and they consistently, you know, provide good fights. And Hearn used to put these on, but he doesn't anymore. And so if Frank wants to bring them back, then I'm more than happy.
Yeah, well,
because we'll get to that. Was it the super middleweight one? That was a real good fight.
Yeah,
Smile versus, that was a really great fight, wasn't it?
Yeah. Williams versus Smile, that was excellent. Technique.
And yeah, if you think there was some fouling in that Porter Berto fight, these boys was putting everything in there, weren't they?
They were, but they were both doing it, so it was a bit equal.
It was like elbows, everything, head, it was all going
shoulders,
on,
knees and toes, I think.
Yeah, exactly, man.
But
you can see it meant something to them, though, couldn't you?
Yeah, no, that was a great fight. I'll get to that in a minute. I just want to finish off with Woodstock, and I don't know, the stoppage at the end, you know, Holt's head was getting snapped back, but Bunce at ringside was quite critical about the referee, said it could have got stopped a bit like 10 seconds too early, but like Holt was still throwing in between, so I thought it was okay.
It was fine, but you know, his head got rocked back the second time and he stepped in. That's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, that was okay. I think Bunce was going on with himself a bit, but
well, Bunce was having a fucking nightmare, wasn't he? He was all over the shop.
Dempsey was shitting on him as well, not agreeing with him.
Dempsey was schooling him. It was embarrassing.
Took it L. But yeah, just one last thing on Woodstock. He does that thing that a lot of guys do, and I mentioned it a few weeks ago, like Smith does it, where when the guy's returning shots, he just stands there and absorbs them rather than stepping across or, you know, trying to roll underneath or do something. But he just stands there and absorbs him.
Because he looked like he had the hand speed to be throwing with him a bit more, didn't he?
Exactly. But apart from
he was kind of like, take it, I'll unload. But he was doing good body work and stuff, but we'll see very early on.
I hope like Leicester kind of jump on his bandwagon as well, because like that part of this, you know, the UK hasn't really got anyone. So if they can get behind Woodstock, I think it'd be definitely a good thing, because it was a small hole card, but it was a very good fun card, I thought. And it's for BT and Box Nation to put out these two cards so far. Both cards have shitted on anything Matchroom have put on this year so far.
Absolutely, but and there's more in that kid than Langford, isn't there? Like, he's got more talent to go with him. So I hope they do get behind him.
Yeah,
he seemed to be quite enthusiastic about his city, you know, talking about, you know, fighting at home and stuff. So yeah, let's hope they get behind him.
Yep. All right. That's fight we were just talking about earlier, Jermaine Smile versus Darryl Williams. Leon, not the sweet science, but wow, man, those guys just put everything on the line, just showed so much heart and effort, and you know, you just have to commend guys like that, because sometimes boxers turn up, sit on the back foot, don't do nothing, collect their check and they go, man. These guys earned every penny they got.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was a really close fight. A lot of people had it to Williams, but I had it to Smile by one. But
do you just prefer some of his cleaner work?
Yeah, that was it. And that last round, that last kind of 20 seconds, I thought he had Williams in a bit of trouble against the ropes. So that's how I scored it. But I have no issue with you scoring it the other way, you know. Yeah, it was one of those fights.
I had it like 6-4 to Williams, but yeah, it was one of those fights. I just thought his aggression was good, but Williams does have a bit of a Porter to him. He just kind of rushes forward and, like, again, similar to the Porter fight, both guys getting head clashes, getting cuts, but really fun fight. Especially it was quite low down the bill as well. Like no one really knew about these two guys, and it's one of those surprise fights you get now and again where you weren't expecting much. You don't know who it is, but they just perform on the night.
You know that Hang Credible on Twitter?
Yeah.
I think he's quite close to that camp. And he was saying that Williams had a really bad training camp. And like they nearly pulled him out a couple of weeks before the fight. So he was there kind of like at kind of 60%. So
that's not
you
bad.
Take that into account, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, and they were saying that Smile guy was kind of in line for a shot with Virginia Singh or something, and that fight didn't happen, so he kind of took this fight at late notice. So I don't know. Sometimes when you take your eye off the ball a bit,
yeah,
good performance for both guys though.
But I would, they should have that if they're smart about it. The next kind of, the next card at the kind of the end of the summer, their next big card, you'd have this on, wouldn't you? Get the rematch on, first fight up again.
Yeah, especially I think was it Smile that's from Leicester or around those neck of
the
woods.
So exactly. Yeah.
You put him on, you put Woodstock on, and you got a good little card. But I think he'd probably be later than that because I don't think.
That cut.
Yeah, Williams wouldn't get past it. He's going to need time to recover for those cuts. So I think both of them had cuts. But yeah, definitely a rematch should be up later on in the year, and that would definitely help the Leicester massive. But what else? Daniel, I don't know. What do you prefer, Dangerous Daniel Dubois or Dynamite? I kind of prefer Dangerous.
Yeah, Dangerous for me. He looked all right, didn't he? But again,
he looked good. His opponent actually came to fight, unlike the guy that came in his debut. The guy that looked like
he's a little sloppy. He got caught, didn't he?
He got caught with, I think it was like a wide right hand, kind of caught him on the chin, and he stumbled forward a bit, but he recovered okay. I don't think he was really hurt. I think he just kind of got caught with a shot as he was throwing, so it put him off balance.
Yeah.
But at least his opponent, Menduo, kind of came to fight a bit, so give him a few rounds.
Yeah. But he's just a work in progress again, though, isn't he?
He is, but I really like his jab, man. He's got a fucking great jab.
And by all accounts, all the rumours are that he's doing damage in sparring and stuff. So, but look, there's no need to rush him.
We're gonna hear that until he's like fight someone. Like BT and Box Nation is gonna say that every fucking card. I'm already bored of that same thing. Oh, he's give AJ trouble. He's give this person trouble.
But look, we'll come to this in the when we talk about the build-up. But everyone's knocked AJ down by now, haven't they? They're the rumours. Any sparring session now, AJ's getting sparked.
Rumours are rumours, though, Leon.
Exactly, all rumours.
Okay, what else did we have on this card?
Yard, we had Yard.
Yard beat up a guy
meaningless
from the EDL.
fight, yeah.
Yeah, they need to step him up a bit. I think his next fight's against area level guy, which he thinks are going to be a bit easy for him again, but you never know. I think that we're going to be at that fight as well, Leon. I think that's the one on the undercard of Davis versus...
It is, yes.
Yeah, so that should be fun. But yeah, he looked good when he put his punches together, man. Like that body shot that he basically just ripped him apart with and ended the fight.
Yeah.
Nice, but proper big dude, man. He carries a lot of weight. And every time I see a big dude, I always question, can he take a punch? So I'm reserving judgment until I see him get clocked with a big punch and see how he handles it.
Absolutely.
What else do we have? I thought we had a pretty poor fight with Tyrone Nurse and Joe Hughes.
Hughes pretty bad, wasn't it?
Hughes is putting decent effort in, but Nurse, man, like, he doesn't fight most of the time the way he should do. He stands there and tries to fight on the inside, but his attributes are not that. You're tall, you're range, you use your jab, keep him at range. Why do you want to... And he does have a bit of success on the inside, but, like, you're not going to do as well on the inside than on the outside because you've not got those attributes. Like Joe Hughes is small, stocky. He was working on the inside and he was doing better there. So why kind of go with him, push him off, use your jab, keep him at bay. But he's always in there in the pocket like he's some kind of Matrix puzzle, isn't he? Throwing little uppercuts and stuff. It's like you're doing no good in there, mate. No, I think he thinks he's good in there, so he stays there. But I don't know. But yeah. I had him winning it, and what was it finally? A split draw, I think it was, wasn't it?
Something like that.
So
I really wasn't paying much attention when I was watching that.
to be honest. I don't blame you. But the last fight, we could probably bring Nyota for this, was the Tete Villaneuva fight. You want to roll with it, Nyota?
Yeah, really good performance from Tete. I think some people are being a bit critical of the guy, but you got to remember this was, this was almost like a mandatory position shot that he was getting or it was a mandatory position shot because it was for an interim title, interim WBO bantamweight title. And incidentally, now Zelalani Tete actually just became the full WBO bantamweight champion because the original champion, Marlon Tapales, wound up missing weight and then knocking out his opponent yesterday. And, I'll get to that a bit later. But Villaneuva is a guy that had a previous title shot against McJoe Arroyo at 115 pounds after Tete vacated that title to move up to 118. Arroyo was the mandatory, and Villaneuva was the number 2. Arroyo defeated Villaneuva by a technical decision. And a fight that I thought probably should have been scored a little bit closer. I mean, McJoe Arroyo clearly won the fight, was winning the fight up until the fight was stopped on the cuts. But I thought Villaneuva was given a little bit of trouble, at least, at least a bit competitive. With Tete, I thought he pretty much zoned Villaneuva out pretty well. Was utilizing the right hand, the right jab. He's a southpaw, obviously. The left hand to the body, I thought did pretty good work. And, Villaneuva is one of these guys that tries to be on his toes, kind of fashions himself a little bit like after Manny Pacquiao. So it's like the straight 1-2 that he's really, really looking to land. And he has a little bit of pop on it, a little bit of explosive power on that. And so I think Tete was trying to play it a bit safety first to a degree. And even though he hurt Villaneuva, and a lot of people felt like he probably could have stepped on the gas and knocked him out on a couple of different occasions, I think that he, knowing himself and knowing that he's been hurt before, dropped before, not even stopped before, Tete was basically thinking like, what, I'm not going to risk it too much against this guy. I'm winning clearly pretty much every round of this fight. And he, like I said, he zoned him out. He outboxed Villaneuva. And now he's not only the interim champion, the mandatory, but he's the full champion because Marlon Tapales missed weight yesterday and then knocked his guy out. So, Tete's got a title now and he's got a bit of clout, and it's going to be cool to see how the future looks for him. It's almost like he took a big step back after knocking out Paul Butler, but he's kind of managed to get himself back on the pedestal with this single win. So it's nice to see him back.
The full title is in the post. Just sending it over to him. Leon, what did you think?
I haven't watched all of it yet, so don't come to me.
That's fine. Last week I was doing my research.
Too much.
Yeah, there was too much boxing this week. Last week I was doing my research because obviously we were going to have a show and we didn't, so I watched a bit of Villaneuva. And I watched that McJoe Arroyo fight, and he does leave with his head. I don't know if he does it intentionally, but some guys do it. Like when they throw the 1-2, they go with the head rather than kind of turning from the waist. They kind of turn with the upper body. And I did think he might try and like rush Tete a bit and just try and get on his chest, but I think
that would have been a better idea for him.
Yeah, I think like Tete just controlled him so well. It's like you're right near to that left hand to the body, the jab to the body, up and down. The straight punches work so well, and the odd time that Villaneuva would get close, like Tete would just hold him and negate him, and the ref would jump in and break it. And my criticism though, like I'm a fan of Tete, but there's a reason you're on at 6 p.m. when the headline's at 10 p.m. because you're not taking guys out of there. And I know it's like, well, he wants to win. He doesn't want to like go for the knockout and get knocked out himself. But it is prize fighting, and the guys that actually do get knockouts.
I think there's a bigger onus on him too because of the fact that he's not a Brit, and he's on a British card. So it's like he's a foreigner kind of fighting on your guys' TV. So it's like if there needs to be a bit more excitement in order to truly draw the fans in, to what you're saying, I think. But
yeah, if he continues like this, he'll continue to be at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and he'll be a world champion fighting at 7 p.m. when no one's watching in an empty arena and no one's really watching at home. And it's a shame, but I just wish he had a bit more of a like killer instinct to him. Okay, you've schooled the guy for 8 rounds, just change gears a bit, try and get him out. If you try and you fail because he's got a good chin, okay, fair enough, but at least you tried. Don't just do the same thing and then just win on a boring points decision. Rigo-esque, like I don't want to compare him too much to Rigo, but he does need to change gears a bit. But the fact
I was just gonna say, do you think if he fought Rigo, he might be able to get a 2 o'clock billing instead of a 6 o'clock?
I don't even want to think about that. That fight would probably not get televised.
It would.
Yeah, I'm just being.
And we'd all watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but I mean that's the thing. I don't blame him too much for that for this particular fight, because I think he properly saw that Villaneuva presents a fair amount of danger to him, and like I said, Tete is a guy that's been dropped before, been stopped before, and so there's kind of a method to the reason as to why he wouldn't necessarily step on the gas quite as much against a guy that he's pretty handily outboxing. It's going to really depend on the opponent for him, like it tends to for certain fighters. If Shohei Omori winds up getting another shot, he's the guy that Tapales knocked out. I'd imagine the WBO will probably give him another chance because his opponent came in overweight, and he was actually pretty much even with Tapales up until the 10th round. I'd imagine he might get a shot at Tete. I think he actually, as good of a boxer as he is, and he's almost as tall as Tete, I think that might provide a bit more action because of just the way the styles match up. So Tete, I don't think, would be able to just completely cleanly shut the guy out in the same manner.
Just going back to Villaneuva quickly, when I was watching the McJoy-Arroyo fight, he did the same thing that he did in this fight, and it didn't really matter against the fight against Tete because Tete controlled him so well, but fighting a southpaw, he was circling, to the other side, and you think, well, why do you not want to get your foot on the outside? But he was kind of going anti-clockwise. Bit of a weird tactic. I don't know why he was doing that. He did it constantly against Arroyo, and he was doing it against Tete. So
yeah, weird. It was strange. I don't know. Maybe he used to be a southpaw or something, and he's used to going that way.
Yeah,
weird.
All right, I think that's about it, really. You've got this.
He should just change his name to City. He'll probably get more fans if he just makes an easy name change. Don't you guys think?
The silence says it all.
But the thing that's unfortunate for him is the fact that it seems like the other British fighters, they could all very easily just go after somebody like Lee Haskins. As opposed to fighting him. I imagine maybe Stuart Hall might be willing to fight him, because of kind of the hard luck that he had against Haskins, and I doubt Haskins wants it with him again. But otherwise, I think it's going to be a bit tough for him because he's not. I don't think the other British fighters are going to try and be facing off against him after what he did to Butler, and I think that's what'll probably keep him low in the billing unless he's fighting somebody with a lot of like real hype behind him coming in, and if that was to happen, I'd imagine Tete would probably wind up flying out to their country. Like if it's Yamanaka, he'd be going to Japan. If it's Neri if Neri beats Yamanaka, he'd be going to Mexico or possibly the U.S. So I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for him. He does loom as a potential really interesting opponent for Naoya Inoue if Inoue winds up moving up, since he has the WBO super flyweight title. So, regardless though, I think Tete is absolutely one of the best bantamweights, and there's only a couple of guys really that I'd favor to beat him at the weight class. So, it's a bit of victim of his own success in a way, because it's going to be tough for him to get the higher billing on UK TV because he's so dangerous, and at the same time, he's a good enough fighter that some of his better chances might actually come, from even further flung places than the UK.
Yep.
Sorry,
Thank
Cam.
you. Sorry, Dan?
I said sorry, Cam.
No problem. That's fine. All right, let's just quickly talk about the Sky card. I don't think you saw it, Leon, so I'll keep it short. Firstly, I just want to shit on Hearn a bit because I said to Kimo today or yesterday, I said, like, what's Hearn's best card? Like, and he's had a few good headlines, so like the main event's been okay, but cards as a whole, they've been terrible. I think he just completely doesn't give a fuck about undercards anymore. Cause
he doesn't have to care, Cam. He's got a contract. Like, it doesn't matter what he puts on at the moment.
That's why
He's signed up for 5 years. What do they say? Stability is the enemy of change, and this sums it up perfectly, doesn't it?
That's why I want BT to become a bit successful, and maybe when the contract's up for renewal, put a bit of pressure on her. Because one thing I want to ask you, Leon, he's signing all these amateurs and former GB stars, and even like with signing Jamie Cox and stuff. But where are they fighting? Because it seems like he's got so many fighters, but they rarely fight. He only picks and chooses some of his favourites, and the rest are just on, we'll just put him on the undercard up there, or we'll just put him over there. It's like, well, he's almost got too many guys, but the quality of cards are shit. So how can that be? How can you have so many guys, but still have shitty cards?
Because he sees everyone he signs like... He doesn't treat them like A-sides, but he doesn't treat them as like superstars, but he sees them all as A-sides, so he's not going to... He sees them as an investment, so he's not going to risk them, so he's always having to get in the B. Do you know what I mean? He's not often fighting his own guys against each other.
Kind of
so
sounds
the
like
opponent's always going to be shit.
No, because I was thinking, we had Smith versus Liam Williams a couple of weeks ago. Like, if that was Hearn, he would never put that fight on until like both guys had a world title.
Exactly. Well, look, I didn't see this card, Cam, but by all accounts, I missed nothing. From what I heard so Masha fought for a trinket and is being used to sell tickets to prop up other failing stars. So I feel sorry for him. Then we had Rocky Fielding versus Ryder, where Ryder gets fucking jobbed again, and Scousers are scoring for Scousers uncontrollably. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I heard that. Then I missed a war that wasn't a war, that we were promised would be a war, that we all knew would never be a war. So I missed fucking nothing.
To be honest, you did good because you didn't have to waste your time, so you saved time. If anything, it helped your life by not watching it.
Oh yeah, I'm a better person because of not seeing that card.
Yeah, but I just want to quickly get Noah's opinion.
Go for it.
Did you watch the Murray-Rosado fight, Nikki?
Yes, I did.
What was your view, man?
Well, I mean, kind of like Leon was talking about, I thought it was really funny that they kept saying, like, war! Like, this is going to be a war. This is going to be a fight of the year candidate. Like, that was the hype of people trying to promote the card and everything.
Rosado didn't even bleed?
Yeah, that's actually really a poignant fact. I mean, how the hell can you have a war if Rosado is not shedding blood? I mean, his DNA should be all over the damn place.
And he's not in wars. He's not in wars. He gets beaten up. Two completely separate different things, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually, his fight with Jillian Love was a pretty good one.
That was good.
But I mean, it wasn't a bad fight. It was fairly evenly matched the whole way. But the judges were fucking horrendous, man. The Rosado won that fight. I thought he won it close, but I didn't think that he completely schooled Murray. But I thought it was really telling the fact that, I mean, like for one, like Cam just said, the fact that Murray wasn't even able to cut the guy, and I don't even really think he hurt him all that much ever at any point in time either. I mean, he landed some clean shots here and there. But I thought that were too few and far between, whereas Rosado kind of did what he wanted for the most part, and he was able to not completely dictate the action necessarily. I thought it was two-way action. It was like a 7-5 type fight. But Rosado was definitely outworking him, outlanding him, not necessarily completely pushing him back because Rosado doesn't have big power as a middleweight. But yeah, I mean, I thought that, like, in most of the senses of who was the better boxer, who was the better fighter, who was doing things a little bit better, I thought that Rosado was, he was the better effective aggressor. He showed the better defense. He was showing the better ring generalship, and he did more things in there and looked more impressive to me than Murray.
Yeah, I echo everything you said. I had it like 7-5, and if anything, a bit wider. I think Rosado won his rounds clearly, and the ones I give Murray were closest rounds. So
yeah,
Murray's output was pretty poor. He's not a great boxer. He was on the back foot. He was trying to pot shot with the right hand. He was having a bit of success, but Rosado outworked him, man. Like, he was throwing a lot more punches. He was walking him down majority of the fight. Hooks on the inside, uppercuts on the inside, and I felt really bad for him, man, because okay, like he's always gonna be a B-side. Like he's lost so many times. He probably, it doesn't really matter to him anymore. But it looks really bad for like British boxing as well, because people see those type of scorecards and then they don't want to come over. They're gonna be like, well, why do I want to go to the UK? I'm just gonna get robbed. And okay, it wasn't a British judge or it was a Polish judge, but these judges get treated, by the promoter, and they probably put them in a nice hotel, give them some nice food and shit, and I think that needs to stop, man.
Get a little dessert with that room service.
Exactly, man.
But the other stuff, the other thing it affects, Cam, it makes the rest of the world look at boxing in the UK and Matchroom and go, why are they propping up this guy who's failed numerous times? Like, why are they making a big deal out of him? Like, why is he headlining anything?
Yeah, because
this is a guy's career who's had a fucking horribly mismanaged career throughout it, and has regularly failed to turn up and fucking thrown no punches in all his big fucking fights. And now,
that's true. I mean, he's
become a prick. He's become a prick, Cam. He didn't used to be a prick, and now he's a prick.
I used to like him, man, but
he's a prick.
The end of the fight, when he had the interview in the ring, he was saying, was it Terry O'Connor had it a draw? And he's like, what fight was he watching? I won clearly. Like, you fucking lost clearly. What the fuck were you watching?
But this is what happens. You go Matchroom, and this is what happens.
And it's crazy, like, you talk about Masha Dodd selling tickets. Like, if you want to sell those tickets, that place would have been empty, Leon, because I've seen some photos of the inside and how many people are actually there, that people are taking and posted on social media, and the place looked pretty empty. And I understand...
He's treating him, he's fucking just raping Dodd for tickets, isn't he? He's propped up how many Liverpool cards now? Last 4 or 5?
And Dodd's not even good, man. Like, he shouldn't even be on TV.
I feel bad for him though. You know what I mean? It's like they treating him like that. You can fight at 7 as long as you turn up with 5,000 people. All right, I'll do it. And yeah, but it's another one where Hearn's propping up a guy who sells tickets. Like, it's weird. He backs weird people, doesn't he? Like, he either likes you or you sell tickets.
That's it. No middle ground. But yeah, shame on Rosado, man. Feel bad for him.
Oh, fucking. But I said this, someone else came. I said it in the WhatsApp chat. How many hours of boxing did we watch this weekend, and how many of the fights actually fucking meant anything? Like, that was a pointless card, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like,
we could have all lived without those fights. And maybe the Ryder Fielding is for a British title, it means something, but it was horrible by all accounts, correct?
Yeah, it was pretty poor. Ryder was just trying to sit on his chest, and like Rocky would just continuously hold him, and it was an awful fight.
It just felt like just nothing meant anything. It didn't really matter what the outcome of any of those fights were.
You know what's crazy, talking about Matchroom, though? I seen some Matchroom tweet today, and they were saying, I had like a picture of the AJ Vlad, and it said, get your tickets here at StubHub. And it's like, wait, did that not sell out? So you're basically promoting... secondary ticket market. Yeah. Right. There we go.
Vile.
Yeah.
That's disgraceful.
Anyway, we give that card enough time, because I'm setting a new agenda. If a Sky card's shit, which most of them are, we're reducing the time because they don't deserve us basically promoting them. So fuck them.
Well, that's what you got to do. That's what we've got to take our only power now. It's just like remove
the diameter of the black hole has been reduced.
We got the power, take our power away by like not engaging with this shit. That's all we can do now.
Yeah,
it's the only protest we have left.
Yeah, fuck it. Let's move on. Naota, I know you talked about Marlon Tapales before, so do you want to just talk about him and Yoka? I didn't manage to. I saw the knockout for Tapales, but I didn't watch the Yoka fight.
Okay, yeah. Tapales versus Omori. This was actually a rematch of a fight that they had about a year and a half ago. where Tapales blitzed Omori. He knocked him out. He knocked him down in the first round, then knocked him down 3 times in the first round, then knocked him out in the second round. He just caught him cold and caught him clean. Omori managed to fight himself back into contention after Tapales wound up winning the title last year against Ponlang Sorsini. I think you probably remember that fight, Cam, because they had dropped each other twice. It was in Thailand, and Singyu, he dropped Tapales down twice, and Tapales managed to come back while he was way down on the cards and knock out Singyu. And it was a fantastic fight. It was just a brutal war. It was like a Salido versus Turtzak type of just vicious, bloodbath between the two of those guys. But here against Omori, it was actually a little bit more technical. I mean, it was a bit of a technical war. Omori was doing really well at outboxing Tapales on the outside, but Tapales was, engaging in smart pressure in order to kind of close the distance on the inside. So there was a good bit of tit for tat there. Finally, though, in the 10th round, Tapales just managed to land a huge left uppercut. It's like he kind of led with the right hand. Omori was back up against the ropes, and he just shot the uppercut with every bit of leverage that he could possibly manage. And he hurt Omori really, really badly. And Omori was actually, I thought, lucky to get out of that round. I think it happened about a minute and a half into the round, so he managed to survive barely. He almost went down again. But his legs still weren't under him at the start of the 11th. So once Tapales kind of rocked him again, the ref basically jumped in and stopped it at the beginning of the 11th. And Tapales was only up by 1 round there. But as I mentioned before, it was originally going to be for Tapales' WBO bantamweight title. And Tapales weighed 120 pounds. So, I mean, he missed the weight by 2 whole pounds. And then when they had him re-weigh in, 2 hours later, he actually gained a couple ounces, which I thought was pretty interesting. So
he's like, fuck this, I'm gonna have a chocolate bar.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was all there was to it. Maybe probably a chocolate milk, Cam. But he was basically he probably kind of did what some fighters have done recently, where he just said I'm gonna come in. Whatever I come in at, I'm not going to try and drain myself more because I'm trying to give myself the best shot to win. And so, for Tapales, he probably kind of saved himself in terms of title contention. Who knows? He may get a shot at Jesse Magdaleno in the near future, since obviously he had the WBO bantamweight title, and he managed to at least keep his winning ways, his winning streak alive. So there's probably some potential. Yeah, I think so too. Both southpaws, both about the same height, and Tapales is like a pressure guy. Be a good inside fight between the two of them. Although I think Magdaleno is a bit stronger just naturally, because Tapales has come up from lighter weight classes. But Omori, I imagine, would probably get another shot, because he wasn't completely smoked in this fight. He was actually pretty much winning up until the 10th round. When he got knocked down and they finally stopped in the 11th. And he's a pretty good boxer puncher. He's a real tall guy, as I mentioned before, 5'7.5", maybe even 5'8". And, so I think he matches up fairly well against somebody like Tete at the very least in terms of dimension and boxing ability. He has a bit of pop himself. So I think there's a pretty good chance that he'll get another title shot, because usually when somebody misses weight and as long as you give a solid showing for yourself, you're able to get another title shot after that. So I'd imagine Omori isn't completely out of the picture. I think he'll be able to get back into it. And then moving to Kazuto Yoka, he managed to defeat Noknoy Sitiprasert for Yoka's WBA flyweight title. This is the title where he became the 4th champion after Estrada moved up to super flyweight recently. And Noknoy Sitiprasert is actually a fighter that's promoted by the same people that promote the number 1 contender for Yoka. So I'm thinking that this might have been part of some sort of 2-fight deal or 3-fight deal, because Yoka actually just fought a Thai fighter, Snap Kiatnewat, back on New Year's. Had actually a really gritty, tough fight with him. And I imagine that the Thai promotion was thinking, we're going to try and put some mileage on this guy until he fights the number 1 contender, Sirachai Thayen, and see if we could get the belt in one of these 3 fights, because Yoka managed to knock out Kiatnewat, even though Kiatnewat dropped him. Here against Noknoy, though, Noknoy is a bit more of a stylist type fighter. He almost is a bit of a poor man's James Toney kind of style, where he's kind of doing a bit of shoulder roll. He'll throw a right hand to the body, but he's significantly shorter than Yoka. Yoka's 5'5" and change, and Noknoy is only about 5'2". So Yoka was kind of able to range him out, and he showed a lot of power in this fight. I mean, he was rocking Noknoy with his jab. Noknoy appeared really hesitant and reticent to try and close the distance as much as he has done in a lot of his other fights in Thailand and such. And Yoka pretty much just busted him up, beat him down, came close to, I thought, could have potentially came close to stopping him in the last few rounds. But I mean, he pretty much just beat him up. And it's kind of funny because the judges actually gave Noknoy a couple of rounds there, and the referee actually even deducted a point from Yoka for low blows. But the shot that he deducted him for wasn't even a low shot. Like if you look at it on the replay, it was like one of those kind of uppercuts right on the belt line. And, you can't see his belly button. So to me, it's very much a borderline shot. But I thought the ref was getting on Yoka's case a bit too much. And if anything, I think Noknoy probably won a couple of rounds right around that point, like the third and the fourth round, because Yoka stopped going to the body as much for a couple of rounds because I think he didn't want to get another point deducted or something. But, I mean, he showed a supreme amount of boxing skill, and he showed pretty much why he's probably the best flyweight in the world right now since Gonzalez and Estrada moved up. Aside from Sirichai Tayan, who's his number one contender, I imagine Zhou Shiming looms as a big money fight in Asia. China versus Japan is a long rivalry that goes way beyond boxing. Goes back millennia. It's longer than a lot of countries have been in existence on the planet. So I think the two of them could probably make some nice 7-figure paydays for a fight like that. Outside of that, I mean, if he was to fight some of the other champions, I think he should be favored over pretty much all of them, over Dani Nietes, over Chiritos Hernandez, although Hernandez, I think, has improved since their first fight back at 105 years ago. And then maybe Kosei Tanaka or Pedro Guevara, if either of them were to move up to flyweight, would be a good potential challenge. But as of right now, I think Yoka's the kingpin of the flyweight division. So he's I think doing his family name proud. His uncle was a world champion, and he's still one of the higher rated Japanese fighters, right there with Inoue and Yamanaka in terms of TV ratings. So he's still cashing it in, and good for him.
Naoto, can you pronounce Ioka's opponent's name again, please?
Noknoy Sitipresser.
Pronunciation on point.
Have they ever had a fight at the Great Wall of China?
Oh, that's next.
No, they've had weigh-ins there though. When I'm Not Runwrong and John Real Casimiro weighed in, they weighed in at the Great Wall of China.
What, when they officially weighed in and when they unofficially weighed in?
No, that was when they officially weighed in. That was when they both missed weight, and they were saying like, "Oh, the scale was messed up," and then nobody from the press ever actually saw them make weight. So that was really
some dodgy shit.
Dubious.
Yeah. All right.
Can you imagine at the Great Wall of China, and then you have to lose another 2 pounds? Like, what do you do to lose the 2 pounds? You just run around the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. All the way around.
You climb down.
All right, let's do some housekeeping because obviously we didn't have a show last week. Didn't talk about a few fights, so I'll tag you in, Dan. Talk about your boy Bivol.
I don't know the guy who he fought at all, so
Samuel Clarkson.
I thought Bivol looked pretty good.
He did. He came out fast. He hurt Clarkson with I think a lead right, and then to the body, and then threw some combinations, and he took a knee, but. I don't think there's who
throws a straight right hand straight to the body as consistently as he does. So he's a good fighter, man. He's a good prospect. He's a little bit greener than Gavasnich, and I think it shows. But I do think probably Gavasnich is a higher rated prospect. But honestly, I think Bivol can be kind of in that category if he keeps improving.
Nikki, Leon, did you see this Bivol fight from 2 weeks ago or a week ago?
Yeah, versus Samuel Clarkson. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, he looked good, but the guy was not much cop, was he? So I don't know what it really means. Just another fight.
Yeah. I mean, even Bivol himself, they were saying on the commentary, was saying that, even though he has an interim belt, he feels like that doesn't mean anything to him. So I think he has a good mentality. He has a fighter's mentality. He's thinking, all this is a potential, possible guarantee at the full title at some point in the future. It'd be nice to see him get that shot at some point in the near future because, as good as Kovalev and Ward both are, I mean, I think they're they're on the backside of their careers, really. I mean, the downside of their careers. So, I mean, even if, as kind of we expect Kovalev to defeat Ward in a rematch, he's a guy that, has a bit of mileage on him, and he's not necessarily a guy that's completely out of the woods in terms of fighting a guy that would be a big puncher like a Bivol. So, I think he stands a really good shot against a lot of the fighters at light heavyweight. I think light heavyweight in a certain manner is a bit of a wide open division because Kovalev, Ward, and Stevenson have age not on their side, whereas a lot of the hungry young lions, so to speak, do.
Yeah, I think like if the Cleverly fight happens, Cleverly's getting starched, man, because he's so easy to hit and he just sits there with his chin in the air and thinks he's got a better chin than he has. I think Bivol ices him, to be honest. But especially based off of the way he looked against Fanfare. Yeah, I think some of those shots that Fanfare lands, if Bivol lands them, it's going to get real ugly real quick.
Watching Cleverly get absolutely iced by Kovalev was one of my greatest moments in life in watching any sport. So to watch a reenactment would be incredible.
So that means if the fight happens in the UK, you have to fly over and represent Bivol?
No, I don't think it's a sound investment if I'm only going to watch 2 rounds of that,
Yeah, but then you get to meet me again. You probably get to meet Leon, How can you turn that down?
I'll think about it. But my favorite part of, I think, that entire fight was watching Cleverly. I think it was IFO that did like an hour-long interview of him after the fight, and he just looked so depressed, and it was probably the greatest hour of my life.
An hour-long interview?
That's long, man.
I remember it very vividly, though. So I hope Bivol brutalizes him if they ever do fight.
Things that didn't happen, Dan. There's no hour-long. Cleverly can't talk for an hour.
It was probably maybe 35 minutes.
35 seconds. All right. Also, a fight we didn't discuss, Sullivan Barrera versus pay-per-view Parker. Paul Parker. I don't know, I thought early on, I won't say Barrera was struggling with him, but he wasn't getting the best of it at times, and only really after that bad head clash that they have, I think it was in the 4th, when I think Barrera went to throw some punches and he caught Parker on the chin with his head, and Parker decided to take, almost a full allotted time.
It's a great shot.
I think it was like 4 minutes he took just to kind of recover, and after that he was never the same, and I think Barrera kind of knew that, and he jumped on him a bit more and managed to. I think he dropped him. He got up, and then another barrage of punches made Harvey did ref jump in and stop it. But it wasn't a great fight, to be honest, especially after that really good fight Barrera had with Shabaransky. So
yeah, to me this was a bit of a trap fight, like going into it, because Parker had dropped Shabransky previously, and then he got knocked out by him. But I thought, that if you're dropping him, even though you get knocked out by him, you have kind of like some spoiler attributes about you. And it was looking like he had that for Barrera, because he was giving him a lot of trouble. I thought he won the first couple of rounds. And then, like you said, Cam, I mean, I think Barrera's success largely started when after the head clash. He kind of took advantage of a weakened opponent and then got him out of there. So, the Barrera, he got the W, but he didn't look especially great in doing it. So, it's like the idea of him versus Beterbiev and Valdez and some of these other guys. I wouldn't favor him in those fights. I'd still definitely I wouldn't count him out completely, but I wouldn't necessarily favor him. I think that between the Ward fight and the Parker fight, and I mean even with Shabransky where he got hurt early, there's definitely a good amount of vulnerability to Barrera, and I think he's a little bit too robotic. There's not a tremendous amount of vulnerability to the guy.
You see stiffness.
Yeah, I see some stiffness in him, and he can be caught in the midst of a lot of those shots because of it.
Yeah, Leon.
Any of you guys know how much you got paid for this fight?
Say that again, sorry, Dan.
Do any of you guys know how much you got paid for this fight?
No, I don't know his purse, to be honest.
I'm only asking because, let's say he got paid less than what he was offered against Beterbiev, which I think was around $65,000.
Yep.
Would you guys classify that as a duck?
If he got paid less, then yeah. but I don't know.
Well, I mean, if he got paid like $55,000, I wouldn't necessarily say it was. But I mean, if he got paid like half of it,
that's on Kathy Duva though, man. She's a shit businesswoman, man.
Yeah. 65 grand is pretty awful though.
Yeah, to go against the beast, man. Like, I'd be turning that shit down as well.
Isn't it crazy? The only reason why like the coalition kind of views Kathy Duva kind of highly is because we have two fucking weirdo pervs on our panel.
Yeah, I don't know what Ski Mask Joe and Chemo have a thing for Miss Duva. This is it's a weird problem.
Yeah, they must have been pissed when Roy Jones was putting the moves on her.
And can you classify them as panelists if they'd never turn up?
Nah, associates.
Oh.
Friends of the coalition would probably be a more adept.
That sounds like
expression.
Yeah, that sounds
acquaintances.
like
Acquaintances.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, Leon. Did you see that Burrow fight?
Nah, I didn't see that fight.
All right, let's talk about Ricky Burns. Basically, Ndongo Burns was very similar to, I guess you could say, Villaneuva versus Tete. Just a guy using his attributes really well, just keeping him at bay. It's crazy, man, because the ring they had was fucking massive. And you think they would have done the opposite. You would have think Hearn would have had a smaller ring to give Ricky more of a chance. And, you know, Warren give Langford a big ring to give him a bit of a chance. But I don't know what was going on there. They both fucked up.
But that Ricky Burns fight, he just kept falling short, didn't he? You couldn't get close to him. It was, I mean, if you know, 10-2, that was about right, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had 11-1.
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Julius Ndongo did. He did to Ricky Burns, I think, what a lot of expected Terrence Crawford to do to Ricky Burns. Just cleanly outbox him, range him out, school him, win damn near every round of that fight. And, you know, I think he looms as a really difficult opponent for everybody at 140, including Crawford, you know, as long as Crawford gets by Felix Diaz. It's kind of crazy, though, because it's looking like he's going to wind up dropping his IBF belt since
Lipnitz.
It's like a promotional thing where it's like they don't want him to fight Lipnitz. They want him to fight somebody else, I guess. But I guess the one good thing about that is as long as he's keeping that WBA belt, there's a fight coming up between the top two contenders in the WBA, and those top two contenders are Kiro Relic and Rancis Barthelemy. And honestly, I think the winner of that fight probably has the best argument as the number 3 in the division behind Crawford and Ndongo. So I don't even think that him dropping the IBF belt is any great, any horrible like crime.
Well, is that the same Relic that Burns fought?
Yeah, Bartholomew will school him.
Yeah, I think Bartholomew beat him.
Bartholomew should beat him. But I'm saying, like, if Relic was to beat Bartholomew, that's a massive win for him. Like, you know, that'd be huge, you know, because just how good Bartholomew is. But I mean, him versus Ndongo, I think is an incredible fight. As long as Bartholomew beats Relic.
Do you not see that fight with Crawford? Do you think that they're not trying to make that fight?
I think that's a tough one to call. It really depends on how soon and if anytime soon Top Rank is going to make Crawford versus Pacquiao. I could see them maybe making Crawford versus Ndongo if kind of Pacquiao's still lingering and like he doesn't know if he wants to retire or not. And because the thing is, Crawford doesn't really have opponents at 140 pounds at the moment. I mean, I guess maybe like if they were to recycle Imam, he could knock him out and get another highlight reel. But as it stands, there's not too many really compelling options for him at 140 outside of somebody like Ndongo or Bartholomew. So outside of that, I could see Crawford maybe moving up to welterweight. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say Top Rank is trying to force him to welterweight for anybody outside of Manny Pacquiao. So I think it's kind of 50-50 either way as to whether he fights Ndongo, because as dangerous as Ndongo looks to me for somebody like Crawford, I think that Top Rank probably has confidence that Crawford beats him.
Yeah. Liam, what do you think? Hearn will give Ricky Burns a tune-up, give Crawler a tune-up at 140, and then we'll get this fight eventually?
it seems the most. He's putting it out there, isn't he? Already. So
yeah, that's the one I was trying to remember. He was talking about Krolla fighting Ndongo.
Well, that would just be.
That'd be stupid.
Krolla's not a big lightweight, is he? I mean, I think it says.
Well, because Hearn has I guess like promotional rights to Ndongo now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But you wouldn't put Krolla up there to fight anyone other than Burns, would you, to make that money, Cam?
The thing is, like, Krolla would do nothing against Ndongo, man. He can't get on the inside, and when he does, like, he doesn't really work on the inside, so it's going to be...
But the other thing is that Ndongo, he'd probably knock him out, because Burns is tough to hit, isn't he? But Krolla isn't.
Yeah, that's true. Either be 12-0 or a stoppage, and then what's the point? So... I think
he could stop him.
Yeah,
I think he could stop him.
He's better to send like Ndongo into like either a unification or something else, and then just make that fight. Even though I think both guys are pretty kind of shot now, it's still a fight that people are interested in the UK, and it would sell a bit. So might as well just do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, the nice thing is since Hearn has a working relationship with Heyman, I mean that would make the Ndongo Barthélemy fight a bit more likely coming down the line here.
Yeah, Dan, what were you saying?
If Krolla ever does fight a Ndongo, we have to go back to Vegas and just watch that fight in a hotel room.
Make sure it's on a bill when there's a big fight in Vegas. No problem. I'm there.
Yeah, bring Golovkin. Make sure it's on the same day as Golovkin versus Canelo.
Yeah, everyone's invited to my hotel room to stream it onto the TV.
Stream.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Leon, quickly, I saw an interview afterwards where. People, his IFL interview where they were saying, what do you think's next, retirement? He goes, I still want the big fights, blah, blah, blah. The name Josh Taylor was mentioned. No. Josh, like, he's not at the level yet. He's kind of using O'Hara Davis as his bodyguard, like, let him fight O'Hara.
Exactly. Yeah.
If he gets through O'Hara, then I'll fight him. And it's like, what? That's the most sensible fight to make. That's the kind of handing the torch over to the next Scottish dude, man. And he's, like, totally basically bypassing it.
Yeah, but he's not Matchroom, is he?
Doesn't matter. Like, it's a good fight, man. It's a good British, Scottish tear-up, man. It's like, it's the most obvious fight to make.
Taylor would body him, so that's why he's not doing it.
Yeah, exactly that. I think we all know that, but it's a shame. Like, he wants the big fights, but I don't know. I don't think he deserves big fights anymore, really.
No, just Matchroom fights, that's all he gets now.
Yep. Alright, that was about it from last week that we didn't discuss. One piece of news I've got, and then if you guys got anything, we can go, and then after that preview, Vlad versus AJ, or AJ versus WK.
Sporting event of it.
Yeah, exactly. My piece of news, Hubie Fury, pulling out this fight against Parker, citing injury, but a lot of people are suspecting that him and his cousin have been banned because they're not showing up as active fighters on the British board's list of fighters that they recognise to be able to fight. So, I don't know, Leon, what do you think?
They're a fucking shambles.
Would that matter if he was fighting in New Zealand?
Yeah, because he wouldn't have a boxing licence.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, okay. No, I think they're a fucking shambles, Cam. Aren't they?
It's crazy, isn't it? It's like, how can you go all this way, have a fight signed, blah, 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 and then, I'm injured. But, like, this whole... They said
he's been injured for 3 weeks, Cam.
He wasn't injured when I seen him 2 weeks ago at fucking Manchester, when he's parading around in the ring saying, support Hughie Fury, he's off to New Zealand to go fight for the world title. I didn't see no back injury when he was bending through the ropes.
But I was speaking to Bill, and Bill was saying from down there, he was saying they were reporting this in New Zealand like a week ago.
Crazy, man.
They were saying this a week ago that he was injured. So, I mean, it's always cloak and dagger with these people.
Every Fury fight
always has family, isn't it?
It always has some bullshit attached to it. Like, no fight's simple. It's never just like, just nice and simple. The fight go ahead. There's always some drama. Like, even with Tyson's fights, like against Vlad, the spongy ring and this and that, and his hand wraps and this and that. It's like shit, man.
you know those promoters down there. I mean, Bill says they're a bit they're dodgy people, but they had sponsored Peter getting into the country because of his record, and then supposedly the story that came out before the fight was off, and then there was the Fury statement. But in between that, there was all these rumours going around about them complaining about the flights and the accommodation and all that stuff. So all that stuff was floating around. So you don't know what to believe.
And we don't really know what happened with this UK anti-doping situation. So it's like everything's just like you said, cloak and daggers, smoke everywhere. No one really knows the truth.
Yeah, it's fucking boring though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting old now. It's definitely getting old. But Neil to Dan, you guys got anything to add?
It's really a shame, man, because I was looking forward to this fight. I was thinking he was going to go over there and get the title off of Parker, and now Parker's without an opponent. I know Dominic Brazil said that he would step in. I think that would be a fantastic fight.
For a last-minute replacement, I think that's really good.
Nah, yeah. Bill was tweeting me some trash that looks like it's going to be instead. Like some guy he used to spar. Honestly, a sparring partner.
I'd imagine that's most likely. And I mean, Brazil was just saying that was him offering himself.
Oh, right, see.
But yeah, I mean, it's entirely doubtful that Parker's people would allow him to fight somebody that dangerous on that short of notice.
Fight dangerous Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, Parker sucks. I was really disappointed with him against Andy Ruiz. I don't think he's very good.
Were you looking forward to this fight against Huey, or did you not give a shit?
I just don't like looking at Huey's back.
No one does.
Yeah, so like that's the only fight cam that I want to watch in like 144p resolution.
So you just pixelated. You can't see the back acne.
Yeah, every other fight I want to watch is 4K except when the Fury fight
in HD. All right, you guys got any other news that you've seen over the week or past 2 weeks?
Nothing, man.
It's pretty dead, man. There's one fight that got announced now to David Benavidez versus Porky. That's a good fight. Good test for David.
Yeah, Porky Medina. Yeah, that's a great fight. Honestly, I mean, super middleweight division is pretty much wide open now, and either of them against any of the top fighters are compelling fights. I'm not sure where the two of them rank with regards. I'm actually checking right now. Like where they rank, where like who would get a title shot at who for the winner. I see Benavidez pretty highly ranked by the WBA. They're ranked 9 and 10 by the WBC. I mean, regardless though, even where their rankings are, I mean, as it stands in the super middleweight division, these are two top 5 or top 10 level. Like I'd say Medina top 5, Benavidez top 10. Guys clashing off against each other, and I think the winner of the fight could potentially actually wind up being the best super middleweight in the world. I mean, pending who they fight in the near future.
Super middleweight might be the worst division in boxing.
Yeah, it's. I think I'd put it a little bit ahead of middleweight still, though.
Really?
But yeah, I don't think the middleweights just go up and take over at super middleweight.
No, but that's different though. You think, relatively speaking, 168 is better than 160?
Well, I mean, maybe not now with the inclusion of Jamal at 160. I think he livens it up a little bit. But
what are there at 168, dog?
What?
Your boy Alvarez looks pretty good up there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's gonna be there.
Fucking bum.
Canelo fights at 164.5. Get that shit straight.
Fucking Harry Potter.
But I mean, you still got both Durrells. You got Groves. You got Callum Smith, DeGale, Ramirez. Medina. Did I mention Groves already? I think I did. And Benavidez. And I think Benavidez is a solid fighter.
That just, your argument is crap when you got to mention George Groves.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Actually,
still, I mean, middleweight isn't that much better, to be honest with you, because there's Golovkin, there's Jacobs, and then there's Charlo and maybe Murata if he beats Endom, and then Saunders and Saunders
Lim,
step below.
And Lim's boy Alvarez.
Alvarez fights that one.
Yeah, that
he's in that division as well.
Alvarez isn't in a division. Alvarez is a division.
Canelo is a great. When it's all like, if Canelo retires now, he's going to be known as like the best fighter in two-weight division. Like, how many people can say that? Like, he will.
Three. He's gonna do what Golovkin did. He's gonna be ranked in 3 different weight classes. The new Henry Armstrong.
The fucking specials or programs, whatever you want to call it. Canelo Chavez thing is the dog shit. I watched that stuff that you posted today. What was it called? The Mano a Mano or whatever. Canelo Chavez, the one that Michael Buffer hosted. Holy fuck, that was dog shit.
Were you not entertained?
I was not entertained. And then with the other one with the intro where Canelo and Chavez are running towards like Aztec Stadium or whatever.
Running through brick walls.
That was terrible, man. Fuck me, that was awful.
You know what I was finding funny? You know when they do these boxer intros, they're always at the start of camp, so they always look out of shape.
Yeah,
it's like the worst promotion you can have. They're just looking a bit chunky and no definition.
Yeah.
Right. But other than that, no news really. I mean, I don't really know what's going on, and I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, Adrian Broner almost got killed. I guess that's news. If you guys want to classify that as news.
Nah, that's TMZ news. We don't cover TMZ.
Yeah.
Is it awful to say that I would have kind of hoped if one bullet landed?
Well, and then Tim Bradley said that Broner would be a good tune-up for him, and then Broner responded by calling him an Uncle Tom. So, there's that too.
Yeah, but Broner's changed, though. He's a better person now. So.
Yeah.
Broner is... Fuck. I don't know. I hate Broner. I think, like...
Why are we wasting our time talking about this bum?
Sports division just says everything that you need to know.
Because he's athletic, Leon.
Belt. But
let's talk about Vlad.
Let's talk about AJ versus WK.
All right, guys.
AJ versus WK. I can't hear you.
I should have got that fucking soundbite as well. I forgot to get that.
Yeah, you need to get that for next week. Man.
I'll have it for next week. Dan, you kick off then. Your thoughts on how the fight's going to play out?
Damn. I got AJ. I got Anthony by knockout. Like early. 3rd round knockout.
Wow.
I think this fight should end
Wow.
Think? Do you really think that this is going to go like past 9 rounds? I mean, the only way I can see it go past 9 is if Vlad somehow just manages to outbox AJ for like a full 12 rounds, But even then, like, we have no idea what Joshua's chin is like. So that's why, like, this fight to me is really, really compelling. Like, I think this fight is really, really
I have some of an idea of what his chin is like.
Yeah, I know exactly what his chin is like.
How would you describe them,
Well, I saw Dillian White land on Chisora numerous times, and Chisora didn't budge, and AJ did a little dance.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Brazil hits much harder than Dillian does, and I saw him land a number of shots on Joshua as well, and Joshua didn't budge.
I'm not sure. I'm not confident. I think they both.
The thing is, Klitschko can hurt guys that even have good chins. So if Klitschko lands a full power shot on Joshua is in serious trouble. But the thing is, just watching rewatching Joshua versus Brazil and Klitschko versus Fury, especially with the height dynamics involved and everything, Klitschko was so reticent to throw punches, and it's like he didn't even have leverage on the shots that he threw. He hit Fury with one of his best Sunday punches. Fury just ate that shit and laughed at him and put his hands behind his back. And Joshua ate a couple of shots from Brazil on the way in. Give me 1 second there. And he was able to eat him and kept coming forward. I think Joshua's hand speed and his overall snap is going to have Klitschko not willing to truly put everything into his offense, and I think he's in deep trouble because of that. I think he's going to be skittish in there against Joshua, and I think that's a horrible attribute to have versus Joshua. You need to go right at him.
Go on, Dan.
Oh, the irony.
I'm gonna go for the opposite. Like, I think AJ might catch Vlad with a big punch, get his respect, and I don't think Vlad's gonna go for a knockout. I think he'll just turn him into his shell. He'll just be very negative, and I think AJ will find it hard to kind of open him up to clean shots, and then he just wins a wide decision. I've just got a feeling there's not going to be any knockouts.
Who AJ wins a wide decision?
Yeah. You know that theory that I've used a few times, Leon.
You fucking lot, man.
Honestly, I think Joshua knocks Klitschko out. Maybe in a bit of a similar fashion as to like Joe Smith versus Hopkins, where it's like Klitschko is Hopkins and trying to be negative and everything, but he just can't completely get away from Joshua, and Joshua eventually catches up to him and lowers the boom.
Leon, why are you so opposed to my theory?
I'm if it goes 12, I think Vlad's got a very, very good chance of winning it. If it's gone 12.
Interesting.
We don't know what AJ's gas tank's like. That's one question. Can he take Vlad's power? And I know you're saying, I think AJ is a very different fighter to the Fury fight. I think it's a kind of difficult one to kind of use that in this fight, because AJ's doing none of the things that Fury was doing. And I think Fury's got a pretty damn good chin. I know everyone goes on about the Cunningham knockdown, but I think, Tyson can take a punch. So I think Vlad landing on him.
The Cunningham knockdown was bullshit. It was him doing a Mayorga and sticking his chin out, for Cunningham to fully power on it.
But AJ's going to be, zooming up and down in straight lines in front of Vlad coming at him, and last person who did that got brutally knocked out, and that was Pulev. And I know Pulev's a different fighter, but I'm saying I think this suits Vlad. I think.
Like some of the guys.
I'm not saying he's. I'm still not sure who I'm picking, but this kind of walking through Vlad thing. If he does that, I'm impressed, but I don't see it myself. I think it's a tough fight.
The thing I'm unsure about is, like, if the pace is slow, then I'll think it can go to a decision. But if the pace is high, early on, then because I don't think AJ's gas tank's the greatest. Like, the people in the chat, nothing for something are talking about it. Jason's talking about it. But also, like, Vlad, like, if you look at his last couple of fights that went the distance, like, he was tired at the end, man. Like, he was just looking to hold, and he wasn't doing much for the last quarter of the fight. So
I think the Jennings fight is one of the best examples of that.
Yeah, so I could see it where, they've gauged a bit early on, and both guys kind of gas out, and then, like, the last third of the fight, nothing really much happens, and it does go to the points. I'm not sure. It's one of those fights. Quite.
The thing though is when Joshua gasses, I don't think he loses his power. I think his output just drops. I think he still has the power though.
But the thing, this idea that AJ is able to walk through him without Vlad landing anything, like, AJ's not a defensive fucking puzzle, is he?
Yeah, he's a bit stiff.
A little. He might be an idiot as well. He might be on the fucking list. Of big stiff idiots. But it's not like Vlad's going to have to go looking for him to hit him.
He won't. But at the same time, I don't think Vlad is going to be confident in really putting leverage into his power because of the return fire that's possible.
But that's what I'm saying. But if he's when people come at him, he likes that.
Joshua's speed. Pulev didn't have Joshua's speed at all. I mean, Vlad likes it when people come at him and they don't have very much speed or snap to him. I mean, he didn't like it when Corey Sanders came at him, or when Lehman Brewster did, for that matter.
Yeah, but defensively, he's highly improved since then. That all I'm saying is that people are making this out to be an easy fight. I just think I mean, I hope to God the age,
I would see where you're coming from, Leon, if this was Vlad from 2 or 3 years ago. I think he's the cleanser.
Yeah, but I don't think he needs to be that good to beat AJ. I don't think he needs to be as good as he was 2 or 3 years ago to beat AJ, potentially.
I think he needs to be that good in order to have more than to be the favorite in this fight. I'll put it that way. I think he would have to be that fighter, yeah.
People are backing a lot of stuff on this untested guy, that's all, who's got some major flaws, so let's see.
Yeah, I mean, he has some major flaws, but I think it's going to take like a truly great fighter to bring him out of him. And I mean,
really?
as good as Vlad's. Well, I mean, as far as the heavyweight division goes, I mean, I could see a couple of fighters, bringing it out of him, but not very many. I think only like the best of the best guys at heavyweight are going to be able to do that.
We'll see. I don't have as much faith.
Can we talk about the best fight of the weekend? The best heavyweight fight, Pulev versus Kevin Johnson.
Horrible fight.
It's like, what the fuck?
But are we honestly saying? Are we discounting this panel discounting Vlad that much?
To me, Leon, I see your point, but boxing is about like what have you done for me lately, and like Vlad's, apart from that Pulev one, like people are kind of don't get me wrong, Pulev decent boxer, but like. Before that,
never rated Pulev.
How many people?
Yeah, okay, all right. This is fucking madness. If we're now not going to rate Pulev, who the fuck is AJ beaten?
No.
Who the fuck is he beaten?
No, Leon.
Well, I mean, I'd put Brazil over Pulev, who barely got by fucking Chisora.
Leon,
that's all I'm saying.
I rate Pulev. What I'm saying is, though, before that fight with Vlad, everyone was like, Vlad's boring, all he does is hold, and then he had that good fight against Pulev. Vlad's back, he's back, and then, like, what did he do? Like, he looked awful against Jennings, man. Like, Vlad's performance against Jennings was really poor.
No,
I know
wasn't a great performance.
I know as soon as Vlad Pulev was signed, that Pulev didn't stand a fucking chance at beating Vladimir. I knew it.
But you have to admit, we're not picking AJ anything other than fucking faith and eye test because it's not off resume.
No, but in terms of what have you done lately? I mean, he's done not too much different than what Vlad has done. Really. I mean, if Joshua was to fight Jennings, would you not favor him to beat him?
Yes, probably. Yeah.
It'd be a tough fight, but I mean, Luis Ortiz beat Jennings more impressively than Vlad did.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm just saying, I think AJ
who knows
is
what
highly
funny business
untested.
Who knows what funny business was going on in that Pulev fight with the fucking spongy ring and all that shit that the Klitschkos have been notorious for doing it for years, but nobody ever really had the smoking gun on them the way that Fury did.
Yeah, but you can say what's Vlad done for me lately. AJ's resume is pretty much trash, so we can all agree on that. I'd hope.
Yeah, I agree to that. It's horrible.
This is a whatever you say about Vlad.
I mean, it's not amazing, but in comparison to some of the other guys that have fought him, I think it's fairly impressive. Stop Brazil. He was proven himself to be a pretty solid fighter generally. Stopped Molina much more impressively and without any drama the way that Wilder had. Annihilated Kevin Johnson and basically ended his relevance altogether. And Johnson at the very least went 12 with Vitali. So
moons ago,
Leon, if Johnson goes 12 with Pulev, You're okay to shit on Pulev on Monday?
I mean, I don't like heavyweight boxing enough to ever watch that shit. I hate heavyweight boxing.
Hate's a strong word, Leon.
It is. It's my least favourite division. Big fucking stumbling idiots.
All right, let's move on quickly. It's Scott Quigg's opponent. I don't care. He fought Lee Stolby years ago. I think it was on Luke Campbell's professional debut in Hull, of that outdoor show I think they had. Apart from that, I think he just managed to get a few more wins and got back up there, saying it might be an eliminator or some type of... So I don't know. I don't really care for Quigg, even though he's training at Lim's favourite gym these days. What else we got? I don't actually mind Luke Campbell versus Dalius Perez. I think that's an okay fight, to be honest. And then we got this.
It's all right.
That's a good fight.
It's Selby
fighting.
Fight, I think.
No, he's not on it.
Not on it anymore, is he?
Your favourite boxer, Katie Taylor's on it though. So.
Of course.
And in JD Sports,
Jamie Cox is after that fight. I heard.
Is Lawrence Okoye fighting somebody that's actually in shape?
Yeah. Oh, and that's 7-4. So someone that's got a winning record anyway. But
yeah. Now I'm looking at his picture right now. Yeah, this guy's actually a legit cruiserweight.
But who?
That's good.
No one's tuning in for that undercard.
No.
This undercard
is fucking trash.
There's three of his new signings. So Okoli's on there. That's going to be his third fight. Joe Cordina's second fight, and Josh Kelly's second fight. It's like Hearn does not give a fuck about undercards anymore.
And the other thing, the other thing I don't give a fuck about? I don't give a fuck about a fresh crop of young Olympian boxers. I fucking hate that storyline.
Are you happy that your boy Anthony Fowler's turned professional, though?
Oh, because I am fucking over the moon he's turned professional. He is going to get smashed to bits. This is going to be a tremendous... This is going to be worth tuning into every fight, man.
Well, that's one of the most graphic knockouts that I remember from the Olympics, man. Him just getting destroyed.
And just rabbit punching the guy about 20 times. Yeah, nice.
That was embarrassing, man. His display at the Olympics was embarrassing.
Oh, this is going to be spectacular. Did you see that little? Did you see the video that he put out of himself?
Like the promotional kind of video.
The promotional, and he's in the gym, and they've got a big fucking manky old Alsatian in the gym.
I watched half of it. I had to turn it off, man. It was cringy.
Oh, I don't know if someone was saying it's like you want to get to a new gym with you don't have fucking Alsatian barking in your face while you're working out, do you?
He's
so weird.
He's training with Coldwell as well, so I don't know. Coldwell's not having a good year so far, so we'll see.
Oh, he's all right. He sent Hay to hell, didn't he? So he's done one thing.
Yeah, that's true. All right, we'll leave that card because it's terrible. We talked about Pulev. No one cares about this fight with Johnson. What else? The rematch: Ramon Alvarez versus Omar Chavez. Woohoo!
Oh man, yeah, that's the rematch everybody's been clamoring for, man.
Yeah, man. And then their brothers are fighting a week later.
Yeah, it's the Bobby Pacquiao versus Bobby Pacquiao. You know,
is Rios on the undercard? Brandon.
Is he?
He's on there against TBA. I don't know if he's going to actually make a weight or actually fight. So
interesting.
Bam, bam.
Huh. Fighting down in Mexico. Huh.
And the last. The last card is for you, Naota. Your boy Donny Nietes is fighting in Philippines, and my boy Mark Magsayo's on there as well.
Yeah, Donny Nietes, he's fighting for the vacant IBF title, the one that General Casimero just vacated because he can't make weight anymore. And, probably never did against I'm Not Ruined Wrong, but yeah, at least he did against Charlie Edwards when he beat the shit out of him. So you could say that for him. But yeah, Donny Nietes, he's kind of tried to follow, I guess maybe in the footsteps you might say of Chocolatito and Kazuto Yoka. He was a champ at 105, champ at 108, moving up to 112, fighting for a vacant title though, against Komgrich Nantapech from Thailand. And this is actually Komgrich has one of these records from Thailand where it's really tough to completely judge him. simply because of the fact that most of his opponents aren't truly high level. They're just a step below that. I mean, he's fought a couple of fighters from like Japan and such, but by and large, it's really tough exactly to peg where he stands as a flyweight. His losses were all at higher weights though, so if Nietes is able to like impressively beat him and knock him out, I think that might say a little bit of something for him. But I don't know. Nietes' people, I think they've really wasted a lot of the guy's career because they ducked like the Gonzalez fight like 3 different occasions, and I'd imagine they're trying to get a shot at either Zhou Shiming or Kazuto Yoka because that's where really the big money is. Nietes on his own sells fairly well, but he's not on that level. And honestly, I think even Choritos Hernandez from Mexico probably is making about as much as he is in terms of purses. So hopefully he'll be able to step up to that next level and fight people outside of the WBO ratings, which was pretty much his primary modus operandi over the last several years. Have
you seen Magsayo's opponent before? Or is he any good?
I didn't even take a look at who he's fighting. Let me see. Magsayo.
Fine. Issa
Nimpipiche. No, I haven't. He's from Namibia though, so maybe he'll be on some Julius Ndongo shit.
Now, is he not from Tanzania?
Oh, excuse me, Tanzania. I thought that was a Namibia flag. My bad. Yeah, Tanzania. Interesting. This is a guy that's probably being brought in to lose to Magsayo, but I mean Magsayo is not the cleanest of boxers in terms of just being able to.
Yeah, he's a bit sloppy.
Outbox a guy. So he's one of these guys that I have a kind of a pending feeling that he's a bit of a disaster waiting to happen. It's just a case of when he meets that right opponent to do it.
I actually agree to that, but that fight he had with Avalos, that was a fun fight.
It was a great fight. It was a fantastic fight. But I mean, that's the thing though, is if you're going the war, life and death with Avalos, I think, if you step up to like Valdez or somebody, you're getting iced.
That's true. But if you get a fight with English commentary in the Philippines, it's one of the funniest things ever.
Oh yeah, they go back and forth between Tagalog and English. It's
it's crazy.
It's pretty entertaining. Yeah, I think probably one of the best ones was Daniel Ponce de Leon and Ray Bautista, and you hear the female commentator go, "Oh shit!" like right when Ponce de Leon cracked Bautista with a big left hand and dropped him.
Right, I think we're kind of pretty much done, but Loma Usyk Klitschko posted something in the chat. He said Aram's confirmed Loma Salido 2 for the summer, posted a link for Boxing News 24. I've looked on Boxing Scene, they've not got anything yet, but Boxing News 24 have put a post up there saying that Bob's confirmed it in the interview, saying that Salido will have a tune-up and then they'll have the rematch in probably late summer. So Daniel, I know you're still on the line. What do you think about Lomo trying to rematch and get that asterisk off his CV? Dan? I'll throw it over to you, Naoto.
Well, I mean, this is a good fight, and it's a fight that I think should be happening for Lomachenko if he's really looking to get the props that, or deserve, I think, the props that he's already getting. I think, as I've said repeatedly, prematurely. This is at least one step towards making that happen. That said, though, is unless Salido knocks Lomachenko out, I don't think he stands a chance of getting a decision. And I think that this fight is probably going to be closer than the first fight. Whereas in the first fight, I thought Salido outboxed the shit out of Lomachenko, and for them to score that a majority decision was absolute bullshit. I thought he beat him wide as fuck. I think this is a much closer fight, and so if anything, I think Lomachenko will come out with a victory, whether he actually deserves it or not. But depending on how he looks, I mean, I'll judge him. I'll judge him based off of that, regardless of whatever the judges decide to do. So, I mean, good on him for finally trying to avenge that, though. It's like at the very least, Salido has proven himself to still be a high level operator. Because it could have come when Salido had shown significantly more vulnerability or something, or like if Berchelt had gotten Salido and like bashed him up or something. But he's getting him well. He's still a viable contender, so I think that's solid. If it's true, because I'm not sure. I don't put quite as much weight into Boxing News 24/7 as I do boxing.
That's fair, but
I'll just be honest.
If it does happen, I think Loma in those earlier fights, it's not the same Loma we're seeing now. He seems so much confident now. He flows a lot better in fights, and I think if the rematch does happen, I think he either schools him or possibly stops him late. It just seems so much more carefree these days when he's fighting. He's putting punches together a lot easier. I think in those earlier fights he maybe had one mind on his gas tank, whether he's going to struggle in the later rounds. But I think now that he's gone the distance multiple times and he's gone late multiple times, I think he just fights with less. He looks carefree when he's fighting these days. He looks like he's not got a worry in the world. So I look forward to the rematch if it does happen. Like you, I don't really always trust Boxing News 24's articles, but fingers crossed we get this rematch. Leon?
Yeah, glad it's happening. That's all. If it is happening, I don't trust that website at all. So, all.
Yeah, it's not the greatest publication. Dan,
it's pure troll.
Sorry, say that again.
It's pure trolling business.
Yeah, that's true. Dan, are you there? If not, we're gonna call it a night. We'll call it a night then.
Well, let me give a
one last
shout
thing.
too.
I'll go on you go first.
On the 29th also, there's a Mayweather TMT card for the interim featherweight title. Carlos Zambrano versus Claudio Marrero. Zambrano's undefeated. Marrero has one loss. I think that was to Escandon, as a matter of... Or no, it's to Cuellar. Jesus Cuellar not knocked him out, but beat him. Originally, it was supposed to have Beibut Shumanov versus Yuni Dorico, but I think it was Doricos, or no, I think it was Shumanov that might come up with the injury. Yeah. I had an eye injury. I saw it too. It didn't look all that great, so looks like it was legit. Really unfortunate for Doricos though, because it's like he's been out this entire time, and I think that was an excellent shot for him to really make a name for himself a lot more, in the States and everything, because his coming out party was basically in France, and very few people actually saw that fight. I think he's kind of like one of these like underground type fighters that he's just waiting to pop off, and I think as soon as people get a good glimpse of him, he's going to have a lot of fans. But so it's unfortunate to see that the fight is going to have to be postponed now. But I think Zambrano versus Marrero is a good fight, and the winner is a possible future opponent for the Santa Cruz Mars 2 winner or whatever else. So that's it.
What do you want to say, Leon?
I was going to say I didn't make my pick for the AJ fight, and because all of you have picked AJ, I'm going to have to pick Vlad, because otherwise we're going to lose any kind of hardcore helmet status and destroyed on Twitter. So I will take our keepers on trend.
But how are you picking him?
Vlad.
What's your method of victory?
He's gonna spark him clean out.
He's hiding glass.
Yeah.
He glassed him. No worries. All right. Thank you, Neota, Leon, and Dan. Thanks to all the people in the chat and all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll be back next week. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
I did. Man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically bun you, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate, you want one portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a super-sized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand you, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat-ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weigh for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.